Hey guys, welcome to Backseat Filmmaking. This is episode 6. I'm your host Tanner. Joining me are my two uber talented co-hosts, Derrick and Seth. This episode we'll be taking a look at Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Directed by Alejandro Iñárritu, starring Michael Keaton, Edward Norton, Emma Stone, and Zach Galifianakis. Let's get started. All right, welcome to episode 6. How you boys doing?
Doing good.
Doing good, yeah.
You guys ready?
Talking some Birdman.
Talking some Birdman. Let you let these nice people at home know about the movie, what it's about.
Yeah, sure thing. A washed-up superhero actor attempts to revive his fading career by writing, directing, and starring in a Broadway production. That's
All right. Hopefully you guys have watched it. If not, well, we'll be covering the whole thing for you. In the meantime, let's get started with a little trivia time.
Trivia time.
Trivia time. Cue the music. All right. All right. How you guys feeling on your research?
Oh God.
Feeling okay?
this one might
No.
you might kick my butt here.
Yeah.
I didn't go like anything crazy. I didn't do any crazy questions. I feel like some of these are like some of the same questions we'll have with some of the movies, but
Well, you're gonna have to be pretty lenient on the grading here, whether or not we got the
we'll
answer
see.
correct. Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Question number 1. How many Oscar nominations did Birdman receive, and what were they?
Ooh.
9, right?
It was 9.
9 is correct.
Best picture,
Mm-hmm.
actor, or
Yeah. Best supporting actor.
the supporting.
Best supporting actress.
Mm-hmm.
Best cinematography, right? I think cinematography's
so.
in that. Is okay.
Cinematography.
We need confirmation over here. Cinematography.
Is it that 5? Am I counting correctly?
Yeah.
right now?
So there, his best score is not best
no
score,
editing.
but with sound is best sound,
Was it sound mixing
Oh,
or
God.
design?
or is it edit? Is it sound editing?
Oh, yeah.
God, I don't
That's
know.
right. Forgot
I'm
that
gonna
was
let
the
you
third
guess
one.
on that one. It might even be 2 of those. I have no idea.
So
What do we even have so far? What do we have, 4 or 5?
we've got
Yeah,
the
5.
really the big ones.
Okay, so we need 4 more. Jeez.
Not costume. I don't think.
No, not costume.
Heidi Whitey's
Yeah.
didn't make the cut.
Why not set design? Dude, I don't know. I'm drawing a
Yeah,
blank.
I'm drawing a blank too.
Okay, I'm just gonna guess then.
Okay.
Sound editing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're at 6. We need 3 more.
3 more.
Oh, best
Is it?
original screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're at 7. We need 2 more.
Did we say?
Oh, we didn't say
director?
best director. There you go,
There
attaboy.
we go.
1 more.
1 more.
Oh,
We've made it this far.
we already got
Come
sound
on.
editing. The only other ones I could think of would. Oh wait.
We're gonna need a final guess here.
Yeah. I guess
Gotta
we're
keep it
taking too
moving
much
along,
time.
huh?
Not best editing. Not best. I already said sound editing. I'm thinking
Yeah.
maybe
Double
sound.
down. I'll
Should I say sound design
yeah.
or sound mixing?
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Which one? I need help. I don't know. I don't want to be the one to get it
sound-
wrong.
Sound mixing.
Okay, we're locking in sound mixing.
You are correct.
Oh, let's go.
let's
Okay,
go.
all right.
All right.
Nice.
That was a
Woo.
doozy.
Good job. All right. To follow up that question number 1 with question 2, how many Oscars did they win, and what were they?
Best picture
Best
won.
picture.
Yes.
Best director then?
I think
right?
so. None of the actors.
No,
won.
they didn't. Oh, did Emma Stone win? No, she did not. I don't think any of them won. You're right. So best director, right? Okay, so best picture, best director,
Mhm.
best.
I would
It's got to
take
be the
original
sound.
screenplay.
Oh, original screenplay.
Yes.
And
How many? Did
One
you tell
more.
us some? Oh, 5.
yeah,
No.
no, there's 4.
Four.
Yeah, we got 3. We need 1 more.
I'm not sharp right now.
It's got to be one of the sound ones. It's
it
either
has to
sound
be.
editing or it's sound mixing.
I think with all I think it's
I think it's editing.
I think it's
Sound editing. Best sound editing.
Incorrect.
Oh my god.
Cinematography.
Oh, damn.
Mhm.
We completely.
I guess,
That's,
yeah.
I forgot. Yeah. Okay.
cinematography is pretty good in it.
Yeah.
All
Damn
right.
it. All right, we're wrong on.
That was pretty good though. That's an open-ended question there. There's a little moving parts there.
Enough of
Yeah.
the softballs.
Question number 3. What was the name of the short story from Raymond Carver that Riggin adapted into a Broadway production?
Oh, I'm not gonna get this one.
I know it's not right. I know it's not right, but I know it's like almost the name of it. Can I say that?
Go for it.
Like, what are we talking about when we're talking about love?
I'll give you that.
What is the actual?
That's what we talk about when we talk about love. So
I'm just adding like an extra word. What are we talking about? Yeah, what we talk about when we.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
give you that. That's a good.
Let's go.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
man, we
good.
got 2.
Hey, there you go.
Question number 4. What was the estimated budget for the film? And obviously, if you're in the ballpark.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I saw a few numbers thrown
Mhm.
around. I saw like some ranges. I saw some exact numbers. I read like I think at one point like 16 to 18 million, but then I also saw like 20 million. So I don't know what that's counting, if that's like marketing or what. But
Let's go.
is 16 to 20 too big of a range?
Yes.
Okay,
What about
Shit.
16 to 18?
is that fair?
I'll give you
Can
that.
okay.
I
wanna
saw
walk
about
through?
18 million, so
Okay.
I'll give you
It's
that.
gonna be
All right.
19 then.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you said it was 18?
18.
Okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. Hey, we
It's,
got it.
it's estimated about 18,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it's not even.
Okay.
All right. We're rolling now.
Number 5. How long did it take to shoot this movie?
I know it was a short,
Yeah,
pretty quick shoot.
3 weeks or
Yeah, I think it was
even
like
that long.
I think I saw something like there was like a number of actual shooting days, like without rehearsals,
I believe my answer is including rehearsals.
including rehearsals. Then in that case, it's probably like either like a month, 3 weeks to a month. So you just say 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll say 3 weeks.
You're answering including rehearsals.
I feel like he's
So
he's
4
even.
weeks?
Yeah, we're gonna
I just want to make
should we
sure
say
you
a month?
guys are understanding.
Oh,
We're
should
on
we
the
just say a
same
month?
page here.
Yeah.
We're gonna say a month.
1
About
month.
2 months.
2 months.
Incorrect
Oh,
there.
okay.
They were
Okay.
giving him some credit there.
Yeah. With rehearsals. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
They got that movie out.
Oh, I mean, the guy, Alejandro, like planned everything out for months. Man.
Yeah.
This guy was very meticulous and calculated with everything.
When he's trying to do
I
the
know
one
for the
shot.
type
Yeah.
of movie. All right, you guys are doing good so far, I'd say.
Thank you.
Question number 6: How long did the editing process take?
Can't imagine
I
very
think,
long.
I think this was, yeah, I think it was like a week, right? I think that's what
it's
I-
lock in a week.
I'm gonna say a week for editing.
I'm not gonna give you that. It was,
Damn.
but yeah, I mean, you guys aren't far off. It was about 2. It was 2 weeks.
Oh,
Dude,
I wouldn't
Dude, we
have
keep.
given, I know.
I'm giving them too much credit. I mean, full credit to them, but I'm giving
Yeah,
them too much credit.
So that was I'd say you're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
We're on a cold streak now.
Question number 7, and I will say this one might be a little hard because I didn't find a whole lot of things to touch up on this area of it. But
Okay.
do you know how many visible cuts are in the movie?
Oh,
Or like actually visible.
Yeah.
I think it's under 6.
I'm gonna agree with that.
I think it's like, I feel like I saw something that was talking about here's all of the cuts in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I know, so it's one when they're leaving the bar, right?
Mhm.
And then one of them uses a screen, like showing a video, and then it cuts from there, and then they have to go from night to day. I'm gonna say 5.
I'll just go with 5 because honestly, I'm gonna undershoot it again. I was gonna say 3. I'll go with 5.
Incorrect once again. 16.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
What are we doing?
You guys are forgetting some of the edits of the little montages that they have of like the meteor, the nature scenes, and all that.
Oh,
Those add up.
Shit,
Those are
you're
the ones
right.
that add up
Those
there.
do add
That.
up.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
It
was
was a
gonna
little. It
say
was hard though because
16.
like you kind of forget about those.
That
Parts
makes
of
sense.
the
Yeah,
movie.
because those are like literal quick cuts
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
other footage. Okay. Well,
This one's kind of a fun one. This has to do with one of the actors in the movie, so somewhat related. Emma Stone was taking a break from shooting another movie that was also being shot in New York. What was that movie?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
You locking that in?
Yes.
Locking that in. I know that one for sure.
You're correct.
Okay.
Yes.
My
R.I.P.
cape
Gwen
shit.
Stacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the end of trivia time. That's all I
Hey,
got
we
for you
ended on a.
folks.
Hey,
You know what? We
we
got the
gave-
last
yeah.
one right.
No, that was good. That was
Gave it a
good.
good
Oh
round
man,
there.
that was rough. that was the hardest one so far. I feel
Those
like
were some tough questions there, partner.
that's what we get when Tanner's in the host chair is
Yeah.
hard hitting questions.
Glasses come on.
Come on.
The hard-hitting questions come out.
You guys have any other things related to like the making of or pre-production? Anything that
I don't think I have
The
anything.
only thing I want to note before we get going, so you can kind of have this in the lens of the film, which I found odd, was originally the role of Regan, our main character, was, I believe, offered to Josh Brolin, which I find super bizarre because I cannot see him in that role.
Yeah.
I
love
either,
Josh
like,
Brolin. I think
trying
he's a
to see
terrific
him,
actor,
yeah.
but Michael Keaton's like he just like, I don't know,
It's a different
feels
movie.
right. And maybe I'd be saying it the other way around if things happen that way
I know.
around, right?
I
But
can't see it though.
either.
I can't see that.
Like what they're going for in the movie, he turned it down. I think he had other. I think he was just was busy with other movies. But yeah, I just thought that was weird. That was the only thing that I read that I was like, that seems kind of a weird
I
choice.
can't see that at all.
I can't either. Yeah, that's why I thought it was so weird. But that was the only other thing that I had to add, honestly.
I have a few.
Okay.
So this movie opens up with a poem from Raymond Carver. It's called Late Fragment, and this was from his final book, and it was the last poem in his final book. This poem also is on Carver's tombstone.
Oh
I thought
wow,
that was kind of just interesting of note there.
that is cool.
So if you guys saw like the opening text there, that was that poem. I also have the director. He was in a very depressed state of mind when he wrote this film. So this whole thing was sort of like a therapy film for him. I thought that was pretty interesting too, because like I know first watch of this movie before knowing that, like how I most movies I kind of question like, how did they come up with this? Like, how do you come up with something like this? And well, there's always a reason. But yeah, he was very sad, and this was like this is his way to kind of express himself of his own inner voice.
Yeah,
I thought that was really
I
cool.
feel like the film definitely reflects that. It is not like a feel good movie, really. Like I guess it kind of is by the end in a way.
Sorta.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
we will
we'll
actually
see.
get to that.
We'll
But
see.
yeah,
But I mean, this isn't really much, but he had also mentioned in an interview that like every day on set it was like a heart attack for him because he had this so well rehearsed and everything. So like you couldn't mess up,
Yeah.
or at least very few times. That was kind of funny. I think they also like the actors involved. They were keeping tallies of who messed up the most. And Emma Stone, I guess, was the one to mess up the most out of all of them. And Zach Galifianakis was the one to mess up the least. And in fact, some of the times he messed up are still in that film. I couldn't tell where it is, and that's why they kept it, because he was.
What do you mean when you say messed up a line or messed up like?
I mean, very vague on what the interview was like, but
yeah.
that's what they were saying.
I think I read a particular instance where Emma Stone referred to the exact structure of like how a camera would maybe follow them around a corner.
Yeah.
And there was a particular shot that they had to redo a couple of times with her because it was just her walking.
Yeah.
But it was like her turning the corner either too fast or at a certain way that they had to reshoot. So even down to the most minute detail, it's not even a line that she's giving, but she's just walking incorrectly. That they'd have to
you have to be in the right place at the right time in this
I
movie.
can imagine that gets frustrating.
Oh yeah. God, man, it's such a small amount of time.
How do you want me to walk? Tell me how to walk. Come over here.
Walk faster. Walk slower. Yeah, just
I'll lose
that'd
my
be crazy.
mind.
Well, that's all that I have on the film as far as that goes. Boys, ready to talk some film?
Let's talk some
Talk some
film.
film.
Let's get
Talk some
into it.
film.
Yeah.
The movie opens up with that, with the cuts, with like the meteor falling. And then it quickly transitions to Regan just floating in the air in his tidy whities. And
Crisscross applesauce.
I believe Birdman is talking.
Yeah.
Right? So you're immediately like, what the hell is going on here? At least I know I was. And I think this is like the first of multiple balls jokes throughout the movie. Because it smells like balls in here. I just think that's so like just out of the blue already, just already hitting you. And then that's when he gets we don't get a face reveal of Regan yet, but this is where we get the FaceTime call from Sam, Emma Stone's character, and she's just calling him and asking him like what flowers he wanted. think he just like anything that smells nice, you know. And then I think she responds with like, everything smells like fucking kimchi, right? And I think he does know like no roses. He doesn't like roses.
That was the only thing he said, just no roses.
And then that's after he hangs up the call. That's when we get the face reveal of him looking in the mirror in the dressing room, and he gets called up on stage. And then that's when we meet as he's walking towards the stage. I believe that's when we get him talking to Jake, Zach Galifianakis' character,
Right.
also his attorney in the movie. And so that we already see like the type of movie that we're about to get into with that, like, right, there's a lot of moving parts already with him going to the stage, him talking to some people along the way, and then we get Riggin and the cast rehearsing the play that Riggin is doing, and he's visibly displeased with Ralph's acting. He is just not having it. He's just like, God, this guy sucks. You had something on the actor though, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The actor, I
know I can't remember his actual name, but his character name Ralph.
Yeah, the character of Ralph, the actor that portrays him, he is actually a very accomplished stage actor. He's performed many times on Broadway and stuff. So it's kind of poking fun.
Yeah,
at that this guy can't
sucks,
act,
but he's actually
a terrific actor. Yeah,
probably better than all of them at stage
yeah,
acting.
exactly. Yeah,
I only know him from I believe Better Call Saul.
Okay,
He's in a few of those episodes. He did pretty good. Back on track here though. He gives him some notes as he's doing his thing, and he starts to do them, and that's when Riggin he's just not doing what he wants from this guy. That's when Riggin like looks up to the ceiling, and he kind of like I guess it's like a double meaning right there, like of him just kind of being like just rolling his eyes almost,
right.
and just kind of just like, this guy sucks. And then shortly after we see the light come down and hit Ralph on the head. And so Riggin, as soon as that happens, everybody's like, you know, kind of going towards him, checking on him. Riggin walks away.
Riggin like
he's walking off set,
backs away and like just dips out. Yeah.
No, not even frantic. He's just walking like casually.
His body movements look kind of weird. Like he was like trying to get out of the way of like what just transpired.
Oh, I saw him just like, yeah, I'm walking off, dude. I thought he was just kind of irritated by the whole thing. Like he was kind of walking off casually, almost like he didn't care.
I took it as like him like trying to act like he didn't care, but he kind of like maybe caused this, and as we know,
well, then that's when we get him walking away, and Jake comes up telling him that he's gonna probably file a lawsuit, and that's when Riggin says that he wants to cancel the first preview. He wants to replace Ralph, and before any audiences see what happens, he wants to replace Ralph, and that's when Riggin reveals to Jake that he made the light hit Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, oh, we already saw some of his powers, obviously, right? He's already floating in the first scene we get of him and stuff. So it's kind of already like making you think, like, does this guy actually have real powers? You know, like, yeah. We don't have any explanations for anything just yet.
For whatever reason, I didn't catch that. I didn't think of like him using his potential powers to make the light fall. I had originally interpreted it as like him. Maybe he just had it rigged in a way that would eventually fall. So
which I would assume was actually happening.
Right, yeah.
Or how he actually did it.
It's ambiguous. That's the idea. But yeah, I didn't even clock that it could have been him like telekinetically making the light fall.
You always see his telekinetic powers throughout the movie. So it's like, that's how I kind of just perceived it.
Yeah,
like
once you mention that, in retrospect, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because you got the two, like he could be looking up and, he obviously believes if he actually was the one that caused, and we all think that the light, whether it was powers or him rigging it,
right,
the light falling was his cause.
Yeah.
So him thinking in his head every time we see him doing something, powers like it's just funny the way they shoot it, and then it's just funny to think about him rigging it and like him just, is this thing gonna fall yet? Like, I'm tired of this guy. Instead of doing and like just like, because I guess you can't fire him because he's probably contractually locked in.
Yeah. Oh, I see. That makes sense.
So he's like, what's the next best thing? Drop a stage light on his head.
He's got to get him out of his play. He hates this guy. Like, he's just like, dude, like, I mean, he's someone that as we see throughout the movie, like he needs this to work. He really wants this to work and show that he's an actual artist. Yeah. He's somebody. He's not some washed up guy, right? And I think after he tells Jake that he was the one to make the light hit him, I think Jake was like, he says, "Are you drunk?" You know. And so we see Riggin. He heads back to his dressing room, and that's when we see like the news on, and it's Robert Downey Jr. and they're talking about like him being like, you know, just the whole Marvel thing,
Yeah,
Iron
yeah.
Man's going on and stuff, and they're praising him. And that's when we see him also use his powers again, and he just like, I think he points to it or whatever, you know, and he turns it off.
Yeah.
And then
How do you guys like when movies throw in like real world stuff, or like guess I don't know if that's a fourth wall break, but
So they have like, yeah, like that exists in our world
Yeah.
with Robert Downey Jr. the actor playing the character of Iron Man, but then it also exists in this world where Michael Keaton is playing Riggin.
Yeah.
Like he's not Michael Keaton.
right.
Yeah, I like, I mean,
I think
especially
it
for this
works
story
really well for this movie.
Yeah,
in
for what it's
particular.
trying to convey
Yeah.
with like the superhero genre
Mm-hmm.
and what it means to have previously been a famous superhero in fiction. But then you're seeing this humongous renaissance of that right now. I mean, it's the dominant force in film. You know, it has been for like a decade now at least.
Especially this came out 2014.
Yeah.
And that's like Avengers had just come
Yeah.
out, and I liked when, because this was the first time I'd watched the movie, and so when that popped up, I was like, oh yeah, I guess this does make sense for the time to
Yeah.
be. I just always find it's hard to, like, you can easily mess up throwing like real world stuff in,
Mhm.
but I thought it worked well for this.
Well,
Yeah.
especially with what the movie's talking about. Like, I mean, this
Yeah.
whole character of Riggin, he's a washed up superhero movie actor, right? And so obviously the whole thing with RDJ being Iron Man, like he's the talk of the town,
Right.
you know? And so it makes sense for me. And then that's when we get Birdman talking to Riggin again, and he's talking a lot of crap about RDJ, and says he doesn't compare to them, and he always refers to them as like we, them, kind of like
Like
would you say
Venom?
Venom?
Yeah.
And then I think he says that they had it all and they gave it away. He looks at that's when Riggin's like looking at the base of the flowers that Sam got him, and the note saying they didn't have whatever you wanted, and it was a flower or vase full of
Yeah,
roses.
It's all roses.
And then that's when we get him like to push the vase against the wall, right,
Mhm.
with his powers again. And then that's when the camera transitions towards the wall of the vase breaking, and then that's when we get the interview, like the little like kind of thing of the journalists or whoever, like the media coverage of him like interviewing him for like the upcoming play.
Mhm.
But they're like not asking him anything about the play at all, really. I think the first question might have been related towards it, but it's more so like of him being like Birdman and stuff, and then that one lady, like I don't know if she's like a blogger or something,
some
like
tabloid kind
some
of like
tabloid.
she's trying to get some dirt on him.
She's not even asking him anything related
just
towards anything.
rage baiting.
Yeah, it's
She's doing a little rage
yeah.
baiting.
That was like, I can't remember the specific question, but it was like some like just outrageous,
Yeah.
like, okay, what? Like,
And then you
she's
get,
like, can I quote you on that? He's like,
Yeah.
quote me. What? I didn't even answer. Like,
what's going on right now?
Yeah, he's like so confused.
And then it says something about Birdman 4.
Oh,
And the guy's like, Birdman 4!
Yeah, like the Japanese guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's when Jake crashes in and then tells everybody to leave. So he gets him out of that situation. And then that's when Riggin's taking down the Birdman poster. He's just already fed up with that. Like he just can't stand it anymore. And then Jake tells him about Ralph trying to sue. And then discuss like how they're going to replace him. And then like they're just not gonna come knocking on the door. And then that's when we get Leslie's character knocking on the door, saying that she has someone to replace Ralph with, and that happens to be Mike Shiner, who is Edward Norton's character.
Mhm.
And so the what we get from that interaction, like he's a really great actor, one of the best, but he can be a bit much to work with, right? And then that's when we see like but they're excited though. They're like, oh yeah, this would be great for the play, everything. But he would be probably a bit expensive.
Yeah.
So kind of, we'll see what happens there. But then that's when we see the camera take us back to the stage as we follow Riggin sort of going back to the stage. And then that's when we get Mike performing like a monologue. He's like in, you know, kind of in a costume there. He's like in a trench coat or something. And that's when we get that's when we get Riggin and Mike do like meet each other, and then he's already wanting to read some lines. And Mike's like already like, holy shit, dude, like you've already memorized the lines? Like, what? He's like, yeah, just throw me a line. He's like, oh, I like any line? He's like, you know my lines too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, how do you know the lines?
With him.
Yeah, I think he says like, how do you know the lines? And then he goes, it's a thing I have. I don't know. It's a gift, you know? And then, yeah, Riggin's already, he's like impressed, but also like, how does this guy, he's like, so then that's when we see Mike giving Riggin notes, not only on like the script, but also just like the story itself. And which is a pretty good nod to who Edward Norton is known for, right itself. So like I love that, because as he's doing that, I believe Alejandro in an interview had said that like his character is doing that, but Edward also did that to him when they were like like working on the movie, right? So it's like, you know, the parallels there is pretty cool. I really like that. And then that's when we get Sam meeting she walks on stage, and that's when we get Sam meeting Mike for the first time.
Does she speak?
And then she just says,
what did she say? She also sits and stays.
Yeah. That's when we get her telling Mike that Larry needs to see him for a fitting. So then that's when we see Mike and Sam walk to the dressing room. We're following along, and then she that's when I noted like what Mike was wearing, looking like a Jason Mraz out there
with his little hat.
I don't know what kind of hat that's called, but you get the scarf. Like he's just
his scarf on t-shirt, I think maybe.
Yeah.
Was it even that egregious?
No, I think it was. That's why I was like, how does this guy look like someone I like?
He wasn't wearing a little vest, was he? Like a vest?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he was. Yeah, I don't think he was max level.
This is like peak hipster artist fit that he's rocking. Yeah.
So then that's when we get Mike in the dressing room, and he's just being this obnoxious douchebag already, right? Like he's already checking out Sam's, makes a comment about her ass, and then we see him like getting undressed, right? Homie doesn't wear underwear. We get that too.
Yeah, and
right? That's just crazy. But well, anyways, he's in the mirror looking at himself naked, right? He's just like, he's really into himself,
like flexing and
right?
stuff.
Yeah. He's just being just an asshole.
Very egotistical. Yeah.
And then that's when we get Leslie walking back in, and I believe that's when Leslie's like talking crap about Sam, and Sam is still in the room. And then I can't remember what Mike says, but like something in regards to her being still in the room.
Keeps trying to get her to stop.
Yeah, he's like, maybe we should ask her to leave.
Yeah,
or something.
that's right.
That's when she realizes that she's in the room.
And then she comes out of like the clothes and stuff, right? And then she's like, oh my God, you know, better watch what you say, you know. And then after that whole that thing, we get the second like balls joke there, like of him and Leslie like having this like kind of seemingly like heart-to-heart moment, like, you know, and then I think he says something along the lines of like,
just play with my
balls, or something like that. I feel like it's really like in your face of the balls jokes when it happens. Like there's only like 4 of them or something like that, but they're so like they're like
back, man.
Don't act like you don't know exactly how many balls.
I was counting the second watch, because I noted that the first time. I didn't have them written down, but I did remember them, because I think when me and you were watching it, I noted the first one. I was like, what? That was just so like, you know, it's just like a funny line. And then as you go, it's kind of easy to like keep track of them, if you will. Again, I wasn't looking for it, but when that second one happened, that's when I'm like, there's the second one, and then that's when I started to note them.
Balls.
And then it quickly goes to Riggin and Jake talking, and it's Jake is kind of hounding him about the like how much they're gonna have to pay Mike, and he's just kind of saying like, dude, like I don't know if we could do it, and Riggin's like, dude, we just make it happen, right? And so he's like, we got to do it, whatever it takes, kind of thing, and they end their conversation. Riggin starts walking, and that's when we get Laura's character. And she makes her first appearance. She's talking to Riggin while they're walking. and she tells him that they might be, or that she might be pregnant, right? And his reaction to that is just so like funny, because he's got a lot on his mind already, right? Like he's already juggling a lot of things. Clearly Birdman's getting into him too. Like he's not in the great headspace, but like his reaction to that, he like doesn't really like have one, I guess, and then that's when he does kind of console her and like kind of like, okay,
What does he say to make her slap him?
I
at
think
the
he
end?
says like, "Are you sure it's mine?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't even right after that.
No, yeah. She lets it sit, and then after they hug or whatever and embrace, they pull back and she just
smacks him, and then they have like this like intimate moment.
Yeah.
But like when they start walking off, I love the camera because it goes to follow Laura going back to the stage, but before it like completely follows her like up the stairs or whatever, it quickly pans over to like the guy like just like wrapping up cables, and he's just like looking at like, because he just heard everything that happened, and he's just like.
The crew members are my MVPs of this movie.
They're great, man. I love it.
They are used so well.
Yeah.
Like nobody's paying attention. Like, they don't even care that they're there.
He's just watching all this drama unfold in front of him, like just trying to get this play on, ready to go.
It was a weird moment that for someone to actually
just
be
like
there,
right there, like around the corner, and just like, oh god.
And then so the camera does make its way back to the stage, and then we get they're performing the first preview of the play, and so Regan's doing his monologue to the audience, and that's when we get Mike pulling an audible. He starts crashing the play, and Mike is drunk, right, and he gets pissed that his gin was replaced with water. And that's why he starts to like kind of act out. But it kind of seemed like he was going to do that regardless, maybe. I don't know. To me, I kind of got that just with the type of person he is.
Oh, yeah. He was
just trying to find something.
Exactly. And now his excuse is that they've taken his alcohol away. So now he's like, he's just throwing a fit.
Just throwing a fit. He starts crashing the play.
None of this is real.
Yeah, none of this is real. And he starts like,
are you drinking? He's like, yeah, why aren't you?
Why aren't you? Yeah. So then, so we get that's when we get Regan like walking off the stage. I think just because that scene is just over, you know, whatever. And he starts telling Jake that he can't do it with him. Like they need to make I'm
sorry, I just want to point out really quick before he stormed off stage, as he's walking away, Mike. Oh, because he's like crashing the set. I mean, everything's breaking down. And then he says the only thing that's real is the chicken in the fridge, right? He pulls out the chicken, and then as Regan is walking away, he's like, "That's some pretty good bird, man."
Oh, yeah.
Kind of,
I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, it's. I noticed it. I didn't notice. I had never noticed that before when I've seen this movie. Upon last rewatch, I caught that bird. That.
That's
man.
really good.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because it sounds so. Why would you? Who says that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It sounds so funny to say Birdman like that.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. So then we get Regan quickly transitioning his opinion on Mike. He's telling Jake that we got to get Mike off the play, and it's like he was just saying like how much they need him, and like the paying and stuff. Like he was really going for him, and so then Jake disagrees with him and says that they don't really have a choice at this moment. They already got him. They don't have like the funds to be
that first preview. They like sold out, right? Didn't they get like a bunch of money in advance for like the previews and stuff? So that's when it kind of like, we need him because he's gonna put asses in seats. Like we need Mike.
And there was something contractually,
right? There is.
They like their hands were tied with him too.
They don't. They don't have the money to like.
They need him, and then they also can't. Even if they had to do something, they couldn't. So he knows this. He knows that he's.
Oh, I know. He was just pissed that what just happened.
Yeah.
He got embarrassed, and he's just already immediately like.
Worst case scenario, you could just drop another light on him. Get him out of play. Get the next guy in.
Yeah.
And then that's when we get Regan going back to his dressing room, and we meet Sylvia, Regan's ex-wife, in the dressing room, and. That actress, obviously, we know her as
she's
from
Holly,
The Office. Holly, that's right. Holly from The Office.
God, what is the actress's name? I can't just be.
I always forget.
Holly.
Yeah, right. No, I feel that's
she's
so
really good in this role. I really love her performance.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Their chemistry, they seem like people,
like they used to have something
exactly,
there, right? Yeah. Very convincing.
I'm gonna find it. You can carry on. I'm gonna find the actress's
Okay.
name. Sorry.
So then
Amy Ryan. Sorry.
Okay.
God, it's just, I told you to continue. Amy
so
Ryan.
she tries to console him about what just happened on stage, and she asks him like it was that too, like what she just noticed, but I think she was also there for a different reason. And then she asks him how his relationship with Sam is going, and Reagan's already like he's not even really like in that conversation. Like he's just already on to the next thing. Like he's not really caring, whatever. He's like, yeah, it's good, whatever. But then he also says that he's already thinking about refinancing their Malibu house. And Sylvia gets upset because it was supposed to be Sam's house. But he needs the money. He needs the money for this play. He's giving everything he's got. He will go broke, will do anything to get his name out there and prove himself to everybody. So yeah, he explains that he needs the money for the play. Reagan tells a story about being on a plane and George Clooney was 2 seats in front of him. He explains that the plane was shaking, rattling, all the people on board were crying and even praying. And so he's all he's doing there is thinking about Sam, like, and her, like, the next morning, and like reading the newspaper, and all she's gonna see is George Clooney's face and not his. And that's so funny, like, of him just like thinking about that, even in the moment like that, like
He's like, you gotta be kidding me.
Like, dude, like he's not thinking about like, oh man, I hope I see my family again, like, you know, this and that.
It's all about legacy for him.
Right.
And not to be remembered as Birdman or to be remembered at all. He's afraid of that.
And then, you know, Sylvia's face is just like, what the hell, dude? Like, and then right after he tells that, he says he quickly transitions to asking Sylvia if she knew that Farrah Fawcett died on the same day as Michael Jackson. You know, and then she's still in disbelief of what he's saying, and she's just like, okay, she just gets up, kisses him on the head, and then she starts to walk out.
She says, "You're not Farrah Fawcett."
Yeah.
To him.
Well, not just yet.
Oh.
So she says it at the door. I thought she says it at the door, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but not yet though. She goes to the door, and then that's when Reagan asks her why they broke up, and then she says, "You threw a kitchen knife at me."
Jumping the gun.
You are jumping the gun. She says, "You threw a kitchen knife at me, and an hour later, you were telling me how much you loved me." And then, yeah, that's. I love that line by her. Like, I don't know, she's just very because then she follows that up with you confuse love for admiration, and then that's when she throws that line out there of "You're not
Farrah Fawcett."
Farrah Fawcett." Yeah.
See, Seth, just let Tanner control the
I
tempo.
know. What am I doing?
Tanner's adding all of the important context to the Farrah Fawcett lines that we all need.
We just you dread a boat.
But you know what? I agree with you on that line and the way she delivers it about the kitchen knife and stuff. Because not only one, it paints Reagan as a potentially violent man, you know, and like he's just explosive because he gets so emotional over these things, and he's so obsessed with being admired, and then he also confuses an admiration for his performances as a performer for love. Like, these people actually care about him.
And we get that he's just been like that for however long.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. However long even that incident was, but probably as long as he's been performing.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, even, so it paints him
I would
in this
assume
light.
like probably after the Birdman franchise.
I mean, that would probably be his like claim to fame.
Beginning of
like
it,
real
like
fame,
right.
you know, and being recognized on the street and stuff. So yeah, it probably more tied into that. But then it kind of, you know, puts him in a box where it's like he is Birdman. He's no longer Reagan. People say, hey, it's Birdman, you know, and it's like
he's trying to get away from that. Yeah, he's trying to be more. He's trying to not be washed up anymore. Yeah, you know, trying to be known for something else.
So it's a nice moment.
Yeah, and I think that line itself, like, just kind of sums up his whole like thought process.
That's his whole deal. Yeah, that's Reagan's
like the whole thing.
Deal.
This is his whole thing. And then that's when we get, as she leaves, that's when we get Birdman starting to speak to him again, and he's like, I think he says something like, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And then we get Reagan and Mike walk to get some coffee. So we get him like coming down the stairs and stuff. They head out to get some coffee. He's still kind of fed up with Mike about what he just did on stage. And Reagan's just telling Mike how much this play means to him. And then as they're walking, that's when we get the like one of multiple moments within the movie of the live soundtrack being played. And that's when we get like, and him even interacting with the drummer of Riggin, like tossing him some money as they're walking. And didn't you have something on that guy?
I
the
did,
drummer?
yeah. I was actually gonna pull up the drummer, Antonio Sanchez. So that's him in the movie. We see him at a couple of points, which is actually really cool. But
It
he
is
does
cool.
that live, or I guess like a diegetic score with the drum soundtrack. And first of all, really sets the mood for everything.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I love just the drums like that. But
and I like it interacting with the movie itself,
exactly,
right?
like
And the
him
character
physically
acknowledging
existing
it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And again, notably not nominated for best score, even though it's terrific. In fact, to the point that him and Alejandro, they submitted an appeal to the Oscars, to the Academy, to reconsider not nominating him. They still declined because they felt that because there's also uses of classical music in the score, that they felt it was an even mix between the drums and the classical music, that he I guess didn't contribute enough to the film, like to for a nomination, which I find
Even though
ridiculous.
when it's used, it's the strongest vehicle in those scenes. Like,
Any good score, it will set the tone for a scene, and it's throughout the whole
and
film.
how many times do you see the score in the movie?
That too. I mean, even if physically, existing.
Something interesting though, because we see him interact with them there, and like he's actually playing, like he's actually right there playing. But then later on in the movie, that's when we get him like as he's walking towards the stage, and we'll get to this too. But I want to touch up on it since we're on this right now.
Yeah.
Of the same drummer playing like in like this like
it is like
kitchen area or like break room area, kind
not
of.
really there.
But he's not really there, right?
Yeah.
Or seemingly, because it's like,
No
why
way.
would he be there?
See, and I took that one of two ways. One, it is in the moment where Riggin's mind is kind of breaking.
Right,
Yeah.
So he's
right.
imagining
He's
it's
just
there,
all in his head, but clearly
Or-
that wasn't in his head because we see him interact with him, giving him money. So like,
see now, but if you were to take that moment, is him also imagining that he's there playing the music, which obviously he's on the street in New York. There's a lot of people like street performers and stuff. He's more than likely there. But even if you took it as Riggin imagining it as if that's the soundtrack to his life, I think that is
that's
kind of
true because
where
I
he
mean,
almost,
what
like,
is
hears this music.
real and what isn't in this movie? I mean, I guess that's the whole point of
So
a
it's-
lot of these scenes.
It's ambiguous in both ways.
Right.
I like the idea of Riggin maybe imagining this score that he centers his life around, that when things start ramping up in his life, he
Yeah.
almost hears
I
the
guess
music to accompany
That's
it.
what I like to think because this is the first time we see the drummer on the
Right.
street, and I like to think that he like remembered this guy and the sound of
yeah.
it, and then later on when he's kind of like
That he
losing
applied
it
it,
even
yeah.
more, he's like just
Yeah.
he liked that.
Yeah.
Well, that
music, I
second time,
guess.
he doesn't even acknowledge him.
Oh yeah, he walks right past
Because
it.
it's
just,
purely a
yeah.
figment of his imagination.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
it was like something that clearly that wasn't a new imagination to him. Like he's just like
Again, his mind is just
Yeah,
fracturing, so
yeah.
maybe it doesn't matter.
we're not at fractured Riggin quite yet.
Not quite yet. Or maybe we've always been there. Maybe his mind has always been fractured.
this movie, man.
And then we get Mike stopping off, like he goes into this bar, and so Riggin follows him, even though they talked about going to get coffee. I think Mike makes a comment like they got coffee in here.
Yeah.
And
Don't get coffee.
yeah. Riggin and Mike continue to argue about the play and the importance of it. And Mike points to a critic at the bar, ends up being Tabitha Dickinson, and explains that the only thing that matters is what she writes about him in the play. And I noted because he says like I think Mike tells Riggin not to like look back, and I think I counted. He looks back at her 4 times, and it's just, dude, that whole like sequence is so funny because of like how he's looking back at her. Like he's like like go
he like
really
fully
get into
turns
it.
his
Yeah,
body and, like,
It's
you know.
just perfect Michael Keaton.
I know that's perfect.
his body acting is always so
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, really good physical performer.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially in this movie. There's a scene later that I want to talk about regarding that, but yeah, definitely.
And then I think that's when like Mike is just telling him like about who he is as an actor and like what he's trying to prove in this by doing this play and stuff. And he's saying like no one remembers you or something along those lines, right? But then that's immediately when we get the family noticing Birdman and wanting to take a picture with him. and the kid doesn't know who the hell Birdman is, and like it's a very funny moment, especially like the timing of it,
Yeah.
right? And
You're so handsome.
you're so handsome. Doesn't she like give him a
She
kiss?
gives him a kiss.
She's like, you're just so nice, so
Yeah.
handsome, so handsome. And she
Yeah.
just like
Like
grabs
the-
him.
the
The
husband's
husband's
like,
literally like,
"Yeah,
"Right,
all
okay,
right."
honey." Yeah.
and that's when we transition to like Mike getting down to his point. He says he asks him why Raymond Carver, and then that's when I love this too because it was so like he pulls out his wallet and still has like the napkin that he received that he's about to tell of like the reasoning out behind this napkin, and says that he was doing a play at Syracuse and Raymond happened to be in the audience and sent him a note after the play and said thank you for an honest performance. And so he always just kind of kept that alive and just remembered that, and I think he kind of just cherished it. And Mike laughs and says he was fucking drunk, man. Because it was on a cocktail napkin.
Right, yeah.
But honestly, to me, like I thought that was kind of endearing. I thought that was kind of nice. I like to kind of attribute like this thing that you're trying to prove to yourself, like to yourself and everybody else, that you're something more by kind of honoring someone that kind of gave you that motivation in the first place to
Right.
try something. And to me, I kind of thought that was kind of cool.
And see that
reasoning behind it,
and
you know,
like I mean, I agree with you.
Mm.
And I liked that it just depends on perspective.
yeah.
See, you could take it at face value, like Reagan did, and
Mhm.
said, "Oh, this is a nice note that he sent back, and that what gave me my motivation to pursue a career in acting." Whereas Mike, who maybe is more aware of the context of the napkin,
Right.
might go, "Oh, this guy's fucking drunk. He didn't actually mean this," or maybe it was, maybe his perception of my performance was skewed because he was drunk. Whatever, and who knows? Maybe he wasn't even drunk.
I know.
Maybe he did have a napkin on him from a bar, and yeah, good chance he was drinking. Could have not been drunk. Maybe he just had the napkin on him in general. I don't know.
I
Like,
mean, even if he was or wasn't,
and then there's even that. Yeah,
me,
even if
like,
he was hammered.
he still took the time to write it, and
Right.
like maybe that was the only thing he had to write on, right? Like,
See, but Mike's cynical.
Yeah, I know.
So he
Right.
he throws that gut punch to Riggin where it kind
and
of
he's trying to
shatters
prove
his
his
perception
point to him,
Yeah,
like, dude, what are you doing this for? Like, you're not an actual artist. Like, he's just trying to
exactly.
rag on
It's
him. He's trying to-
perspective.
yeah,
I think that's really really cool way to paint
Mm.
it. Or one sees it as a negative, one sees it as a positive.
yeah.
You know.
I also got to call BS on the condition of that napkin.
Oh, I know, right?
He's not from-
He was ready for Mike asking him that question, or
Yeah.
anybody else who asked him.
I mean, he's
about
had. Let's assume Syracuse. That's where he went to college.
College.
Yeah. So and he's like 50 or something. Here.
you know.
This
30
napkin has
plus years.
survived 30 years in mint condition.
And he's got it wadded up in his
His
wallet,
wallet.
and then he pulls it out, and
Hasn't
it's, just, and it's
lost
still
it.
legible.
No torn. Yeah. The pin. the pin. It's a very little thing.
I
but-
love. Oh, I see. I thought that was like the humor in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
I thought that was intentional.
yeah,
to
I
me,
took that
I
as
received that as
intentional
intentional. Like that
I
was just
almost took
funny.
it like a stage play where you
Yeah.
have like a prop.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, obviously the thing's not weathered.
Like
as
this
if
guy
it
just.
existed
It's
for
like
30
almost
years.
a prompt. You like this guy just has it with him.
Yeah.
You know, like I thought that.
That's
was
the
pretty
thing. This
cool.
movie
Thought that
is
was funny.
very funny.
It is.
So even stuff like that where
Yeah.
it's not a
I would
joke.
say it's a dark comedy.
Yeah,
If it
definitely.
wasn't a
definitely.
comedy, this movie would be unwatchable.
Exactly. It'd be pretty depressing, and it still is.
It is.
In
It
regards,
is. Yeah.
But it has a kind of like jokey spin on it.
Oh yeah.
And something like that is almost intentionally like like a joke with a prop.
So then we get oh, I think this is where we get, before we get Reagan walking out of the bar, we get Mike walking up to Tabitha, the critic, and he's just, I can't remember the exact conversation, but I think she's kind of like, yeah, dude,
Just
like, what are you
having-
doing?
Chopping
Like,
it up theater style.
they're kind of chopping it up, and like he's boasting like his own talents and stuff, and she knows that he's talented, and like, why are you doing this play kind of thing, like, you know, with him and stuff. And I think when Mike leaves, that's when Tabitha like looks over at Reagan, and he's kind of like in his own little world there, because he's like kind of like just staring off into space, like it seems like he's probably talking to Birdman, probably, because he's kind of just out of it, looking like, it looks like he's kind of out of it. He's just kind of like having his own little dialogue within himself, right? And she's already like, oh, dude, like, just look at this guy, like this play is nothing, right? This play is just, it's
kind of
not
funny way to paint how people looking at him interacting with Birdman looks like.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this guy has like someone talking to him is in his head. This guy's crazy.
So then we get Reagan walking out of the bar, and then he goes back into the theater, and then he stops and talks to Sam along the way. Like he's like walking, and then I think like that he like notices Sam in the room. I don't know what room that would be, but he just stops by, and then he said he wanted to say thank you for all that she's worked, like all the work that she's put in and stuff, and what she's done for him. And then it immediately he smells the weed.
Oh, some reefer.
He smells some reefer, and he's like, where is it? Where is it? He's looking quickly, like all over, and she's like, Dad, what are you doing? You know, this and that. And I love that he finds it hidden in like the like peanut butter jar.
Oh, yeah.
I'd assume it's like probably like taped to the top of the lid or something, because he opens it,
yeah.
right? It's not gonna just be in the peanut butter, but and he's like, what is this? You know, and it's just weed, Dad, you know, whatever. And they start shouting at each other, and then this is where we get like a really good scene and moment from Emma Stone, where it's like, yeah, this is where the nomination comes in. Like, she's great throughout the
100%.
film, but this scene in particular was like, it was like, I think me and you both made like the same comment when we watched it. It was like, damn, like we were just kind of like,
it's a mic drop.
it is like
100%.
like, I mean, not only what she says, but how she delivers it, and like how convincing it is. Like it's such a great scene.
That scene pisses me off though, because it's so great, and I just feel like she like she gets put in a box after this of like, now you're gonna get into this with Mike, and I just feel like I'm glad you showed that to us, Alejandro, but dang it, like this was such a good scene. Like, this was honestly one of the better line deliveries in probably for me the best line delivery in the whole movie. The greatest sequence of her showing real emotion, not just like a bratty like
rebellious,
like some
woman.
like real like raw like.
Do you think, would you have preferred that maybe they restructured this scene at a later point in the story, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it would
like more of a crescendo to that.
Yeah, I think so. Instead of like having this, because you can't make the movie about her,
right?
But you had this big moment, and then she still has to be in the movie. So what are you gonna do with her then?
Right.
So I do like I think
that's interesting.
Like,
I personally love the way they have it as is.
Yeah.
But that's interesting to kind of try to see if they develop her character in a more like way of throughout the movie, and then her climactic scene at like towards the end of it. I think it works really well where it is at the moment, because like you said, like there's other characters and instances involved where I think we already get the like instance of Sylvia, the ex-wife, talking to Regan about their relationship, and we quickly get to that, not right away, but like it quickly transitions to that, to touch up on that, and in a way that blows up, and you're kind of like, oh my god, like he was just thanking her, right, for her work and stuff. We get that she was in rehab, so she's already coming out. We get a little bit of that, and then I love that like it's already questioning like what is all there within their relationship, and I like that it kind of like answers your questions as the movie goes, with her scenes with Mike on the rooftop and stuff, and touches up on the relationship within. I kind of like the way it kind of dissects that relationship as the movie goes. But again, it is interesting to see if that scene maybe was a little later on.
I mean, my critique there is really just a compliment to Emma Stone and the writing in that scene. It takes me away from. It's just like, gosh, like you absolutely crushed that right there, Emma Stone. Like, you're legit.
Yeah.
And it's when I want to see more of that when she's in the movie again. And then it's just like, I just felt, I did not like the way she was written after that.
Interesting.
I guess.
See, and I can see it both ways, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think your complaint may be coming from more of a, or not even so much a complaint, but maybe an observation. But I think it's in a more traditional film. I think, you build that up, and then you have that explosion for her character, and that's her arc. Her arc has already happened because this life between them two, this relationship has existed before the movie started. Obviously, they're, father and daughter. To me, I like the fact that you get a glimpse of what that is and what this relationship might be like, and has been for some time, kind of, early on.
Yeah.
And then you see what does it mean to have an aftermath after that?
Yeah.
Because there is no aftermath per se, other than she just said what she felt like needed to be said in that moment. But it was also in a moment of, you know, maybe I spoke out of turn. She was also high. He was being accusatory. He was being, you know, abrasive.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I could see it both ways. And I think I do prefer it myself, the way that it is.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe like to me, I just feel like her relationship with him never felt like her screen time went from to go to Mike and her.
Yeah.
And not building on her and Regan's relationship.
I think that's the point of the
It
relationship,
is.
though.
Yeah.
And I
It
think
is.
that I like that too, because we do get to
But
see later on.
then that is just something I don't like.
Okay.
And that, yeah,
I mean, I think
totally
you're not
fair.
supposed to like the relationship. I don't think it's supposed to get
no,
better.
especially
I think
that.
with Regan himself, we need to see his other relationships and like, and you got so many moving parts in this movie. You got the play itself going on, the whole point
Like
of
I
the
said,
story.
this isn't supposed to be her movie.
No, and I love that it touches up on each relationship that he has with all these characters, and they're again moving parts. I don't think you could address that also by it just kind of being as is. Like it's I don't think there's supposed to be a resolution necessarily within it, and we do kind of see that at the end. Well, anyways,
Yeah,
we'll keep moving
we'll
forward.
definitely talk about that because
And yeah, so she's just cooking him in the scene, right? I mean, just tells him how washed up he is, and she doesn't hold anything back, and she tells him how much like he doesn't matter and that he's not important, all that. And I love that right after she leaves, he like uses his powers again to like spin like I think it was like a cigarette holder or case or whatever, right? And then he gets the joint and he sparks it up, right? I love that he kind of just like
he's just pinching
burns
this roach.
himself. Yeah, it's like a roach,
It's like
and
a
he's just
roach,
like,
dude. And he lights that, and drops it,
But
and then
he picks it
still
up
picks it
again.
back up.
Yeah.
And I made a mental note of when I was watching it that I think that was even kind of symbolic of Regan kind of going to pick it up again and then burn stuff again, because it's like he has this
he can't help
self-destructive.
himself.
Yeah, he's self-destructive
I
to a
think,
fault that he
That's
doesn't
a good
learn.
little-
I think
You
that's
know?
such a
Good.
great observation there.
Yeah.
Because that is absolutely this is so subtle, but I think that's exactly why.
I mean, with
He's
how
impulsive.
rehearsed these
Yeah.
things are, I think
Yeah,
all this
for
is
sure.
Think how
intentional.
frantic his
Yeah.
mindset is with all the
That's a
decisions
good
he has to
pickup
make,
there.
yeah.
and then how he quickly backtracks, but then he knows he's digging a hole.
See, I
and
just
he just
took
goes
it
right
as
back to it.
yeah, I just took it as humor.
It's a
I didn't
fun-
even
yeah,
look
it's
at
fun.
it like
It's-
something
yeah,
more, but
face
that
value,
is
it's funny.
that's
No.
got to be.
No,
Yeah, I like that.
That's legit. I
Good
like that.
observation there.
Thanks, guys. Glad I'm not a total fucking idiot for thinking that.
No, I think that's
just what I
perfect.
thought.
So then we
You know,
get
getting too
the
deep into it.
We get the
stop
camera.
blazing.
Yeah.
we'll get the camera going back to the stage as the final act of the play starts to begin. Mike tries to. I think. Oh yeah, this is like a crazy part. Where like it goes to Mike and Leslie on stage, and they're like getting under the covers right for the
Oh,
final
dude.
act of the play. And
No.
that's when Mike tries to force himself on Leslie while they're on stage, and like she's like just frantically like panicking, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, get off of me, this and that. She's like really getting on his ass, and like he's like really just trying to like not only try to convince her, like, let's just do it, pressuring her, but like he's just trying to take advantage, whatever. He's just like in the moment. And getting consumed by his feelings, what he
just
feels
flat
like
out
on stage.
sexually assaults her.
Well, no, I know, but then he tries to like justify with what he feels like
right.
on stage. Like
the
it's nothing.
performance.
Yeah, it's
this is
just for
method
the
acting
perform- yeah.
taken to the absolute.
That's how he tries to
extreme.
justify
yeah,
it, and
exactly.
it's obviously terrible. And so after the scene is acted, we get them quickly like walking off stage. Leslie is pissed. She's like horrified what Mike just tried to do to her, and Mike continues to be an asshole. And they come back out on stage and they bow to the crowd, and she walks off the stage again. And I think that's when she's like storming off to her dressing room, and Laura comes up to her, asks her like if she's okay, what just happened, tells her. And that's even, I think that's when Laura's like, that's kind of hot, whatever.
Yeah.
So like it's already like, okay, so she can't even like, she can't catch Leslie can't catch a break with anybody like giving a shit about what just happened, right?
'Cause that's just showbiz, baby.
Yeah, it's just showbiz, dude.
What is she? There's a line where she's like, why don't I have any self-respect? It's like, you're an actress, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I credit the movie for even taking these kind of obviously very serious topics and not making fun of them, but poking fun at what it means to
The reality of it.
the reality of this industry sometimes, where people literally have to, they feel as though they need to,
They either don't think much of it, that it's a problem at all, or if they do think it's a problem, they look the other way.
yeah, it's like, well, you gotta, that's just
what it is.
It's just showbiz, baby.
Right.
And it's like, no, man, what the fuck? It's
So
crazy.
yeah, they're in the, Laura and Leslie are in the dressing room, and she's crying, whatever. And then that's when Riggin walks in, and he says, and I love his acting in this movie, because he comes up and he's like real sweet and consoling her and just uplifting her, giving her some confidence and this and that. And Leslie's like crying from it, like she's like, oh wow, and that's when
actress,
yeah,
beautiful, and you're enough or something.
but the way he like delivers it,
yeah,
it's very earnest.
yeah,
like it's the duality of his character in this movie, and like some of the other scenes that we see is incredible. Michael Keaton.
Do you think this is Riggin performing?
I see.
Yeah,
that. I see
no,
that.
and I think it's for the benefit of his play. I think he's just he's doing all this
To benefit himself.
I think a little part of me wants to believe that like it is true, like how he feels, but like also like
deep down
he's
there.
also just trying to get his play in order.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then that's when we get Riggin walking out, and then we get the camera like just pointing at Laura, and she's kind of pissed about what she just heard, because I think she says like, yeah, in 2 years he's never said anything like that to me. And I think that is, to go on with your question, he is just saying that shit just to benefit himself.
Exactly. If he used to say any of that to Laura, well, that wouldn't benefit him in any way to do so. In this case, if he does, then well, yeah, he gets everything kind of back on track, and it's like, hey, it's gonna be okay, kind of thing. So I guess the guy is a terrific actor after all, but and then in real life.
And we get Laura and Leslie making out, and then we quickly nice. And then we quickly see Mike come in and interrupt, and I can't remember what he says, but he says something stupid again, and she like throws something at him, and he's like, quickly gets out of that. And we see Mike, the camera follow Mike, and he walks up to Riggin's dressing room and tells him he honestly says like the play's going good, whatever. But he just tells him to get a different gun, get a real looking gun for the play. He's like, I see the orange tip, and it's not believable, man. Like I can't do anything with that. It's
funny, they do a Chekhov's gun without literally showing you. So they take this classic narrative device, but it's just through dialogue.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of neat. And we'll get to that.
So then
Spoilers ahead.
We get Mike. He walks up to the roof where Sam is, and Sam finds out how much Mike doesn't care what people think of him. And this is that whole scene. You can kind of see that there's maybe some tension there between the two, because they're talking close, whatever. And we kind of get to see a little bit of Mike's personality in that scene. And like kind of, I don't know. I think it's the next one where we get to see a little bit more of Sam's, like and the relationship between her and Riggin. And that's when we get, after they talk, that's when we get the camera, it points upwards towards the sky, and it transitions to just like, again, we don't know if it's like the next day or not, just because again, the time within this movie and like how they transition, like I don't know how much time has passed and not, whatever. But I guess that's just like the great thing within this movie to me.
Yeah.
But we just see it transition from night to day.
Would that be one of those visible cuts?
I think so.
I would think so as well. I
mean, because it's not like they're filming a sunrise, right?
Well, sure, yeah. So obviously,
right.
I mean, we know that there's a ton of cuts in this, but visible cuts. Yeah, I'm curious if maybe that
I was thinking one of them would have been counted when they walk into the bar.
Yeah. There's definitely whenever something slides.
No, I know that's when there's that. I don't know if that counts as a visible cut. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. So then we get the camera quickly panning over to Riggin in his dressing room, and Laura's tossing a newspaper to him, and it's Mike headlined on the paper and he steals the front page from Riggin, so he's pissed, and it says, I think it read like, Riggin Thompson, better known for his Birdman films, tries not to lay an egg on Broadway. But that's like, I think it's like page 12 or something. So it's
12.
not his it's not the headline or whatever. But yeah,
I love that. That's
I know.
hilarious.
And he's already
he's
he's pissed. He's embarrassed. He's like, this thing's gonna fail. You know, whatever. He expresses his fear of being humiliated to Laura, and then like Laura's like, she's being nice, and I think he says something like, I don't know. He says something mean to her. Like, it's just something like just brushing off. Like, again, he doesn't like care about anybody else but himself. So he's not even like really listening or really caring about what he's saying to them. But then that's when Laura storms off, and because he made some insensitive comment towards her. And then she says that's when she's like, before she leaves, she tells him, oh yeah, and I'm not pregnant, whatever. But that's probably what you wanted anyways, or something like that. And that's when we see Riggin make his way to Mike in the tanning bed to address the newspaper, and he confronts Mike about the interview, and he tries to keep Mike in check as he slaps Mike about 20 times with the rolled up newspaper throughout that whole thing. And Riggin tricks Mike about a story of his abusive father, because he's confronting him about the story, because he's like, you stole like what I had said about the play, right? You know, and he's going into like his seemingly background of his, and says tells him about the story of his abusive father, and then that's when we get him like, yeah, I could. He's like, really? He's like, no, I could act too, or something like that. He's like, oh, and like Mike's reaction. I love
Keaton, it's a very classic Keaton move of, when he's talking to someone or talking about something dramatic, and he like lowers his head and and like swivels it around. He's like, ah! It's so Michael Keaton, that move, and it's so well done every time.
Yeah, that's so funny that you point that out. Yeah, that is exactly that's like his go-to move. Yeah, he's very expressive with his head, and like the way he talks, he'll kind of bring his hands up. Yeah, that's so funny.
But
that's. So we get
he sold it. Right?
Yeah, he did.
I was acting.
Because obviously, if you didn't see the movie before, you kind of go along with it too.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I did feel for Riggin.
And then he's just,
ooh, you know, and then they get into it.
And that's when he punches him in the
face.
That
punch is great. That punch is so great. He's like, oh.
And then they start wrestling.
On the ground. They're literally like, they're literally grappling on the floor, and then I think you crew members.
Yeah, they're just like,
they're just like watching them. And then it cuts back to that. Yeah, that's funny.
So then we get Riggin going back up to the dressing room, and that's when we get him just hearing it from Birdman, just hounding him. And then that's when the drums are intensifying, and we start to see Riggin going full telekinetic mode and unleashing the inner Birdman. And he starts destroying his dressing room. And again, as the audience seeing this, we just see him using his Birdman powers, right? And he's just throwing everything around, just causing chaos in that room. And that's part of the scene where we get Birdman again, just trying to get him to do like Birdman films, and he's like, we grow spirits, you know. Love that. That's
the best line in the movie right there.
Yeah. And that's when he starts arguing with this ghost about going back to doing the Birdman films, and that he's nothing without him. And that's when Jake walks in on Riggin's crash out there, and and that's when we see, as Jake walks in, we see him as Jake's point of view of Riggin actually grabbing everything and breaking it, rather than him just, you know, seeing stuff getting tossed around with his mind. We see him physically breaking the stuff. So again, we get that reality check when Jake notices him. Would
that definitively say that Riggin does not have these telekinetic powers?
No, because there are a couple times where it doesn't get a reality check. That's one of the multiple times to make you question. And I think this whole thing is to make you question what's real and what's not. Because you're with Riggin, you don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't know what's real and what's not.
But it is interesting, that we get kind of Jake's POV, and then it's like, oh no, he's not telekinetically. He's just picking stuff up in his brain. Himself. He's Birdman.
And we're just, when Jake isn't in the room, we just see like his mind and his reality,
Right.
and then we get the actual reality check of that. But within some of the moments, we don't get that reality check of what just happened.
That's true.
So it is kind of like, what's going on?
So
That's
I
true.
have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Did Birdman in those movies have those powers, or is
I'd
that
assume
just
so.
what Riggins has given himself as powers?
We don't
I was
know.
curious
'Cause
about
it's
that
a wild-
myself.
It's a weird combination of like for a Birdman, like
Dude, I was totally thinking that. I was like, wait, so he's telekinetic, but then he has like, does he have like lightning powers
Yeah.
too? I think at some
I
point,
don't
doesn't he
know.
like shoot lightning?
yeah.
I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering. He can
I
obviously
think
fly.
all we've seen is the flight, and we've seen telekinesis.
Yeah.
Even those two, like if you take a
Those two
primary powers,
together,
flight and telekinesis is OP as
It's a
fuck.
wild combination.
You mend the
I
the two
believe,
together.
if I remember right, I think those two are the only ones that we see visually. I don't think we hear about any other powers. Like, I think it's just
Maybe
like,
I'm seeing something. It's like in that the Birdman montage later,
Right.
where I
Mhm.
think there's some kind of laser or something, but
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't
we
come
don't-
from him.
no.
So I guess that's just whatever's
Right.
happening in the background. Okay,
again,
because I was like, does he have laser
moving
on?
on,
Too?
moving
Jeez.
on. So we see the Jake. He's quickly he's like, what the hell's going on, right? And then that's when we get the immediate 180 switch up from Reagan when he notices Jake in the room. He's, oh, hey, what's going on? He's like, just all chill. And that's when Reagan wants to back out of the play. And Jake says that the play is sold out. And, he's trying to hype him up, trying to boost his confidence to him. And he lies and says that Martin Scorsese might be in the audience, and it is only to boost Reagan's spirits, because as Jake leaves, I think Leslie asks Jake, like, hey, is that true about Scorsese? And then he's like, yeah, the Pope's gonna be here too,
Yeah.
or something like that. She's like, oh, you're an asshole. But then that's when we get Leslie. She's walking into Reagan's dressing room, and she's apologizing to Reagan about being responsible for Mike and him just being a part of the play. And again, we get this switch up from Reagan and have him just being like, oh, it's okay, like, don't worry about it. Like, he couldn't be nicer.
Yeah,
But again, I think that is not only to let her know that she's okay, but also for him that it's okay,
Mhm.
like it is okay. I think it's just him telling both of them almost in that scene, but also again, I think it's just kind of selfishly to
benefit himself, benefit the play.
yes.
Yeah, calm the nerves.
Again, he kind of got hyped about what Jake had just told him too, so he's
Right.
kind of a little calmer from that.
and even that, yeah, maybe he is being genuine in that moment because
Yeah.
of the news that he's like, oh, actually, maybe this is okay.
Yeah.
Where he's like, yeah, I mean, we still got to go out there and perform, but like,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not a hack,
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, it'll be fine.
And I think that's when we get Leslie walking out of the dressing room, and then Mike sneakily he like opens up one of the doors. He's like in one of the rooms, and then like we see the camera follow him going back up to the roof, and Sam is there once again, and then they start having that conversation, and that's when we see Sam notice the black eye, just like the bruise on him, that Reagan gave him. And she's like asking him, like, where'd you get that? And then, she obviously he didn't even have to say Reagan. She's like, who do you think, or whatever? I don't know. And so then she's already like pissed about that. But then we also get to find out a little more the background of Sam and Reagan's relationship there on that roof. And she says that he wasn't around, and he tried to always make up for it by telling her how special she was. And I think that just kind of like pissed her off, because it was like, but you were never around. How would you know? You're kind of just, I know you're just saying this. Like, like, how am I special? That's
Right.
also like within the self-confidence of her. But I think it's also just her knowing and putting two and two together that, like, yeah, I think you're just trying to make up ground with me by just saying these things. So like, I'm not going to take it like like you're for real, like you mean it.
I took it in a slightly different way, where maybe as a kid she was convinced by him that she was special because he would always tell her that, and then when she didn't end up doing anything in her eyes that she would deem as special, and she was kind of let down and almost felt lied to, that like, I was never special, and that's also like her kind of blaming herself, obviously, for not accomplishing anything or whatever. But like maybe her taking it as like, I was propped up by you, but I was never guided by you. So you told me I was special, so I believed it, but I was never shown how to actually be special, if that makes sense. You know, how to actually accomplish things, how to go about doing what it is that I wanted to do, you know, find something I was passionate about. So therefore I was kind of left in the dust with feeling like I should have been greater than I was, and I never was. So you lied to me. That's how I took it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Could be a completely wrong interpretation, just the way I read.
I don't think
her
they're supposed to
character.
be though.
Yeah,
To me, I
it's
feel like
obviously
it's probably not a
extremely vague.
specific way, but yeah, I guess I love that you have a different take on it. You have a take on
You
it?
got a different take? Yes.
I don't know.
You don't? Okay. Well, let's
Oh.
move on.
Don't worry, Seth. We'll do the thinking for you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So then we get the camera following Sam. She walks down the stairs from the roof, and that's when she like makes her way to like the light stage, you know, and that's when we hear that Mike in the background, so he followed her down there, and that's when they start getting a little freaky naughty. All right.
Freaking naughty.
And
I was gonna say hot and heavy, but I like
hot and heavy, yeah.
You know, I'll say this about this particular scene. This shot is my favorite shot in the whole movie. The transition from them and then it drops down to the stage
play.
and
Yeah.
Mike's down there performing
Right.
is so cool. Because again, we talked about the passage of time, that it's unclear.
And yeah, I mean the play's going
don't
on
like that
as
you
the
can
camera's
hear-
on them as
Exactly.
well. And then yeah,
I don't like
So
how you
it's-
can hear Riggins' voice on there.
Yeah, I almost think that's intentional. As
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
this,
for sure.
this I don't know how to say, almost like kind of perverted
yeah.
Yeah.
idea of this. I mean, realistically, Mike's an older man.
Well, and this is
Then-
her father's play,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
On the same above the stage of where they're performing.
Not to mention, this guy's a fucking. He sexually assaulted
Yeah.
someone on stage that much longer
Exactly.
in the video. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think almost that's intentional. I
Yeah.
like that you point that out because I noted that too. But at least the shot is
It's just
beautiful.
like she's just like, yes, suck it, Dad. I'm getting busy.
Yeah, I
up
almost
here.
took it as like a rebellious
Yeah.
teen. I know she's not a teen in the
Yeah.
movie, but like a rebellious teen
Yeah.
would, like, oh, wouldn't that be like a way to kind of show him up? Like,
Wouldn't this
yeah, I'm
be
making
so
out
hot?
with it. Yeah, yeah, even
like,
that
chill out.
kind of sick, right? But the shot is fucking
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no, great shot.
So it
Fucking
pans
so
over
cool.
to them performing the second preview. And it's after Reagan performs his monologue, he walks off stage and he's like kind of dressing up for his next scene and stuff, and he's talking to Laura, and I think that's when he apologizes to her, like for his comment and stuff like that. And Reagan is getting dressed for his next scene, and that's when we see him like putting on the wig and stuff, and we see him like watching Mike and Sam being kind of like
he kind of
smitten.
spots them over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're kind of being smitten together, right?
Oh.
And
They're
he's
being real
he's
cutesy, yeah.
immediately like ticked off, man. Like he's pissed. Can't stand Mike. He can't. And that's when we see him like gets pissed, takes off his wig, and that's when he starts walking over. He goes over to the Jimmy, the crew member,
Mhm,
and asks, "Got a smoke?"
mhm.
Gives him one.
What does Jimmy say?
You know what? I don't think he says anything.
Yeah, I don't think he
Jimmy
does
doesn't
either.
Say anything. Nope.
Does he light the lighter for? Because he doesn't have a lighter
think
on, does he?
No,
I
I think
think he just sits there waiting for him to do everything, right? Or maybe he does light it.
I
I,
think-
don't
I
remember.
I
He
want to
does
say
light
he
it.
lights it, and then
Yeah.
that's when he walks off
Yeah.
outside.
thanks, Jimmy.
And he's
Yeah.
like in his robe. He has
Right.
his wig off, I think,
Mhm.
right? And so yeah, he walks outside, he smoke it, and as the door closes behind him, we see part of his robe get caught in the doorway, and full panic mode Reagan goes into, and he decides, okay, I can't yank this thing out of
he's
there.
banging on the door, but no one can hear him.
Just not like he's screwed.
Yeah,
He decides, all right. He leaves the rope behind. He's in his whitey tighties. He puts the wig back on, or does he?
Or
No, he
he
doesn't put the wig
yeah.
back on, but he is holding it,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
that's right.
he is
So he doesn't
holding
have the wig on, but he is holding it in
He
his
decides to
whitey
hoof it.
tighties
Yeah.
in Times Square. I will say that this Times Square shot because of the difficulties with like actual people being there, they
Right.
did have to shoot this after midnight.
Mhm.
And so most of these are like crew members and extras.
Yeah.
But there are some real people there as well.
Yeah, I think you can tell the real reactions.
Oh, I mean, they're calling him Riggin, they're calling him
Right,
Birdman,
but, like-
but then you see the other people, like
Yeah,
some of the
people
other
just kinda, like,
reactions, like,
What the hell's
oh,
happening over there? Yeah.
I mean, this guy's walking down Times Square in his
And
whitey
this is where I wanted to
tighties.
mention Michael Keaton's physical performance, because he's
Yeah.
doing this like little run, because he's
Yeah,
like he's
Oh,
literally
yeah.
in his fucking underwear and nothing else, and in the middle of
I
time.
mean, imagine doing that yourself, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
having
yeah.
to, because like he
He's
didn't just
so-
like decide to
He's
do
great
that
at
just to
the,
do it.
Don't mind me walk.
Yeah, and like he's like skirting
In a rush.
kind of like a brisk
Yeah.
walk. Yeah, and he's trying to
Shit, gotta get it to the,
Just
you gotta
looking
get
at
back.
me, he's like, gosh, this is worse than I thought it would be.
So as he's walking to the front entrance, and everybody calling him out and stuff, right? I think that's when he's like, well, he needs to get back to performing. But then we see Ralph and his lawyer at the entrance of it, and they're trying to. He's like in a neck brace. He's in a wheelchair, right? And yeah,
Why
he's
did he be in a wheelchair?
to sell that lawsuit.
Oh yeah, he's trying to get that. Yeah, he's trying to. Yeah, no, I get it. It's
but
just
also
funny.
like that light has to be somewhat heavy, right? Like
Oh yeah, well that would like
Who knows,
probably
man?
fucking kill him if it
Oh,
landed right
yeah.
on his head
Yeah.
from that high up, like a light. that
either
thing
way, they're trying to like discuss something. He's like, dude, shut the hell up. Like, I don't have time. Like, he doesn't even, at that point, he doesn't even care. He's not even trying to like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'll get back to you guys. It was like, dude, I don't have fucking time for this right now. And so yeah, he walks into the entrance to the auditorium to continue the play. The play must go on.
Yeah.
Right. And so he walks in, puts the wig back on,
Slaps it on his head.
still in his whitey tighties, and he's using the classic finger gun because he doesn't have his prop, so he starts using his hands, his fingers. And I don't know who brings it to him, whether it's Jake or just some crew
Yeah.
member or
Yeah,
something.
I think it's just like a stagehand. That
Yeah.
just,
I
like,
mean, we
gives it
don't
to him.
see, I guess,
Yeah.
but he gives him the gun, the gun prop.
I honestly, I was hoping that he'd stay with the no gun the whole time.
Yeah.
And play out the whole scene, but it's just even funnier that he's walking up and then they give him, and then he's pointing at it.
And I think people in the crowd are like, oh, like,
Yeah.
okay.
I love how he interacts with them too.
Yeah.
He's telling them to shut
yeah,
up.
yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah,
because
he's
they're
like,
all
"Shut
looking
up,"
at.
and he like kind of scares some of the
Yeah.
people in the front row because he yells because they're laughing. He's
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
he's in
They're
his
like,
underwear.
well, because some are laughing, some are like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, is this some dude that just wandered in? Oh no, this is rigging.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell?
Like, oh, is this part of the play? You know,
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be. But then yeah, that's when we get. So after he does the whole thing on stage there, I think that's when Jake gets a call, and I think I don't know who it's from. I think it's from Ralph's lawyer. I want to say maybe because then he's
Yeah, I'd
like kind
assume.
of pleading with him, like this
You're
and that,
right.
whatever. Well, either way, the play ends, and you can hear like the crowd roar, and the camera, I believe, is just sitting in the hallway for
Yeah.
a little bit, because then you can hear the play end and everything. So the camera's just sitting in a blank hallway, and then that's when we get Riggin walking past it, and then that's when the camera follows Riggin. I think it's like going back to his dressing room, and that's where Sam's waiting for him. And this is where we get Sam like doing like writing on the toilet paper, like the little dashes representing, I believe she says that each dash represents the 6 billion years that the Earth has been around. And then each of the dashes on that one single ply each dash represents 1,000 years. And then yes, I think that single ply was like where how much humans have been around for on Earth or whatever. Either way, that's when he's kind of just toned out because she asked him, "Are you doing okay?" You know, whatever. Because he's like out of it, man.
Yeah.
He's out of it. He just had that Times Square incident. He's just like, he had to continue to play. Like, he's out of it right now. But that's when he asked if he was a shitty father, and then that's when Sam was like, I mean, you were fine. And then that's the whole thing. Like, yeah, he's just fine, right? He's whatever. And then the ply of toilet paper that she gives him, he like wipes his mouth with it. And he's like, Dad, you just destroyed the whole human race or something like that. He's like, oh, sorry, whatever. But he's like, again, he's just in his own mind.
Yeah.
He's not really, he's like on an autopilot. He's not really like, again, he's just selfish,
Yeah.
you know? And that's when Sam is showing Riggin like that he's trending on Twitter, and like someone taking the video of him on Times Square walking, and it already hit 350,000 views for his streaking moment there. And that's when we get the bar scene again of Riggin taking his going to the bar again, and then him confronting Tabitha Dickinson.
Right.
And I love this scene. And he hands her the drink because I think like the bartender says that was hers.
Mm-hmm.
But is he talking to Riggin? Because why would he be telling her that
I thought he set a drink down and then he drank it.
I think
and he was like, that was supposed to be her. Like he was just
Oh.
making it right there and he slammed it. And they're like, and then there was another one or something. And he took that over, or maybe he made another one really quick, or so. I can't. It's a little unclear.
Either
At
way,
least I don't remember correctly, but
we get him taking her drink,
Right.
to her, and that's when they start having their conversation. And he hands her the drink, tries to converse with her. She shuts him down immediately and says that she's gonna destroy his play, and she's not even gonna watch it. And she starts insulting him, says that she hates him. She's just hounding him, man. She roasts the shit out of him. He responds by trying to roast her for being a critic and what that says about her. Like, you know, I think he even says, "You just label everything. That's so fucking lazy. You're a lazy fucker." You know, he's just going in. He's
that's
trying.
great. You really got into your Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
right
I
there,
tried
yeah.
to.
That's
I
good,
can't
that's
do him
good.
justice, but I wanted to kind of get the cadence down there. There's another line, but it's kind of too long. I won't say that one, but that's a good one. Just watch that scene; it's so funny. But then that's when Miss Dickinson she smirks because she's just like letting him try to rebuttal her, right? And she goes, "You're no actor. You're a celebrity. Let's get that straight," you know. And oh my God, she is just that one line too to me, honestly, was just that nail on the coffin there of like, that's the dagger.
I think they equally, if I'm keeping a buck, I think they cooked each other equally.
I think
it's
so
like,
too, but he's
Yeah.
doing it in a more like over the top kind of
well,
way.
he's drunk first
Right.
of all, but
so
he's also
I don't
very
think it kind
emotional.
of comes off the same. She's already like putting it off like whatever he's saying right now. Yeah, he's just crazy.
Yeah, she's.
So
not
I don't
even
think it's
listening.
doing
Yeah,
anything.
No.
He's taking
It's
everything
cutting deep
personal
bad
for
with
him. Yeah,
for sure. He's taking that shit to heart.
But what he
But-
says is true.
Yeah,
Like,
I think both of them are
spitting
making
some
valid
facts.
points because him as an artist, well, you're not really an artist because your intentions are not in the right place. Your intentions are about legacy and how people view you, but not about the actual art
Yeah.
that you're making. So it's not coming from an actual point of passion. On the flip side, you're a critic.
And she's
And-
already willing to write a negative.
You're not even giving it a fair shake.
Yeah,
And you've probably done that in the
telling
past.
him that she's not even going to watch it and still destroy his
You're
play.
this pompous asshole
Yeah.
critic. What do? You
Right.
don't make art. You critique it.
You critique it. You just
What is
label
that?
everything.
You're not an artist.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That to me, that is, as we're reviewing a movie, know
Yeah.
it is
I know,
easy
right?
though. It's easier than making it. Right? You can have opinions all day about movies or plays or whatever art form.
Hey, you guys
medium.
just label
Yes.
everything, man.
Yeah.
Viewer discretion is advised. We understand how hard it is to make movies.
We know we're hacks.
Yeah.
So you don't need Michael Keaton to tell us that.
But you're here for our 2 cents, so thank you.
Maybe.
Hell, our name, it's in the name itself, right?
Yeah.
Backseat
That's true,
Filmmaking.
yeah.
So,
So
you
we
should know what
acknowledge
you're
that-
getting into
Yeah.
here.
Anybody critiquing an art form should kind of take that as, well, you're not making it though. So it is brave to
Yeah.
make something regardless.
Oh, no doubt.
So after he's like pointing the flower, right? He has
Yeah.
it's a flower pen or
flower off to
something.
the side.
Or okay,
It was like, I think maybe in a little like
vase or
next to a
something.
pen. Yeah, like
I
in,
don't know.
I don't know actually.
Either way,
Yeah, he grabs it.
yeah, it's just
You
he's
wouldn't
just
even know
drunk,
what to do
man.
with this
Like
if you
he's-
didn't fucking if it wasn't fucking labeled or something. And he's like tapping
I
on her
love
head.
that scene.
Yeah.
But then that's when we get him. So after that scene finishes, he walks outside, and I think you wanted to speak upon this scene where if he's walking outside and he goes into the liquor store.
I just want to point out, to me, this is where the cinematography just blows my fucking mind.
Mm.
This tracking shot behind him walking along the street. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this isn't until after.
No, it is.
I
right.
guess it is. Yeah.
He walks, but the way his route is really weird
'Cause he's fucked
he
up.
avoid. Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but he avoids the sidewalk, which
Mhm.
he's walking right out onto after the bar.
Right.
He walks on the street though, and like along the cars,
Yeah.
and then goes back to the sidewalk to walk into the liquor.
Yeah.
I don't know. The
But it
route
was
is really weird.
Yeah, I think almost like,
But
is he
again-
gonna cross the street? No, he's going
Yeah.
back this way. Okay, a car like kind of honks at him, kind of walks,
yeah.
walks back, and he's just kind of like taking it all in, and he's hammered. And then he walks into this liquor store, and this liquor store is so rad because it has like these like chili lights, like these
yeah.
like string lights, and it's so colorful. It feels like ethereal, right? And he walks into it, it's like very dreamlike. I mean, the whole movie feels
compared
like
to
a
the
dream.
yeah.
It's like
But this scene
None
in
of it really
particular,
makes sense.
because of the type of lights, it almost puts you in like a whole different world.
yeah, and he he gets the whiskey, and the guy's telling him, Tony's like, oh, this is enough, and he just like shoves the money at
Gives
him.
him like a hundo, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He definitely just grabs whatever's in his wallet and just like,
Yeah.
yeah, here you go. And then he, takes a sip and then keeps walking out. And he just like, I mean, you're just like kind of with him in that
Yeah.
moment. And to me, I don't know what I found so beautiful about it, but it was like, I think in that moment, he had kind of accepted everything that's going on in his life, albeit temporarily because he's drunk and that will fade. But it's like, whatever, you know what I mean? It's kind of like all of that pain is gone
Yeah.
because he is
Wow.
drunk, right? Well, it's either all gone or it's all there. It's like a, you know what I mean?
I think we visually see it still being there because when he walks out of the liquor store, he's drinking straight up out of the brown paper bag.
Oh yeah.
And that, I think visually
keeps
in
pushing it
cinema,
down
like that's
and
just
down,
kind
right?
of like
It's a down
you're
on your
down
luck.
bad if you're
Yeah,
drinking out the
yeah.
bag.
Oh yeah.
right?
I mean, like, yeah, and like, and it's the suppression of those feelings with substance abuse to, just cope with whatever's going on
Right.
in your life and in his life in particular. So yeah, it's definitely him not coming to terms with those emotions in any real sense, any meaningful sense. He's drunk. That's all it is. But like, I don't know, it's kind of beautiful. I just love the way it's
it
shot.
is. Yeah.
I think the lighting is
He
perfect.
got his moment letting Tabitha hear it.
Yeah,
You know,
he
like,
said,
he was
I
just-
got everything I needed to say out. And he
Yeah.
feels like, but I kind of got my ass ripped. And then, oh, fuck, I still got to go.
Because
Tomorrow's
I don't
still
think
there.
he necessarily believes what he had told Tabitha
No.
himself, obviously, right? But either way, so we get him
He
drinking
was
out of the
definitely
bag.
hurt by what she
Oh,
said.
yeah,
Oh,
he's feeling that.
100%. Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. He decides to just get hammered and fall asleep on a stoop.
He falls asleep on a stoop, and we get him waking up to the sound of Birdman in his ear again, right?
Oh,
And
what a wild wake up call.
I
that would
know,
be.
but I love the transition when he falls asleep, and then the camera points up again to the sky, and then it transitions to the next day, goes back down to him. Birdman's talking to him. He wakes up from it, and that's when we first see like the visual appearance of Birdman, other than like a poster
Right,
or
yeah.
whatever, right? But we see the visual representation of Birdman walking right behind him as he gets up, and he's trying to convince him once more to do these Birdman films, and then we visually see what might appear in Birdman films.
Right.
We see the action sequence of helicopter, lasers,
Yeah.
the big metal bird
I mean,
in the
for-
sky.
For a film like this, that CGI was better than some of the stuff Marvel's been producing.
It was really good. It's a cool, like, little,
It is pretty cool because
yeah.
it's just so like out of the blue almost, right? Because you're not expecting any of that to be
No,
in there.
not in this kind of story. And then
No.
you're seeing it. And
You're
like,
seeing it. That's pretty funny.
Like, oh, this
Yeah.
is what a Birdman movie would look
even
like.
to give him the physical suit.
Yeah.
Like,
That's-
you had said something about
Yeah.
the mold for it,
Mhm.
like what it was based off of one of his the Michael Keaton
Michael
Batman
Keaton, yeah.
movies. Yeah, so it was like they used one, and again, there's that meta commentary right there.
Right. The
But
last
Birdman, Batman. you
Yeah,
know.
and like I think they mentioned in the movie of the last Birdman film being released in 1992.
yeah, the last
Also
Michael
a
Keaton
nod
Batman
to
movie.
Michael Keaton's 1992 Batman Returns.
Right.
I think that has to be
Oh
intentional,
yeah, it's all very
right?
intentional.
I mean,
It wasn't. I do think that's something that was changed from the original script.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah.
To once Michael Keaton was in
Yeah.
the role to put that in there. But yeah, it was already kind of in place.
I
that
do
they'd have
remember
something.
seeing something that when Alejandro and Michael Keaton sat down for the first time to discuss it, I think Alejandro was like, "Hey, this isn't about you."
Oh right, yeah, this
No.
is, yeah.
And I think and that's funny you say that because it's like as audience you kind of like keep saying like keep kind of comparing it to like a Michael Keaton type, right?
Yeah.
But I mean Michael Keaton has said himself like this character is nothing like me, like other than like some of the instances of
Yeah.
the like Batman type of stuff, right? Of course, like some of it's the same, but like
Yeah.
the way his character is
Oh, yeah.
obviously
It's the pop culture references that
opposite
are
of-
like the
Yeah, yeah,
meta
yeah.
commentary that they kind of, for the most part, except for Edward Norton's character, that they,
Yeah.
with his onset kind of history, his
Yes.
notorious method acting and
Difficulties.
whatnot. Yeah. But aside from that, and even that, again, that wasn't intentional. That character,
yeah,
Mike, was
it just
already
so
there.
happened to
And then
it
Edward
worked
Norton
out
was
like
like, they're like, "Are you cool with this?" And he's like, "Yeah, this is hilarious." Like he thought it was really funny to poke fun at himself in that way.
Well,
So
And since we're talking about Mike in this way right now, I do have to acknowledge this, that you guys haven't seen Rounders, right?
no.
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 It's gonna be on a wheel very soon.
Okay.
But his character in this movie, Worm, is Mike is what I imagine Worm grew up like. This is just what he grew up to be.
Is this
Okay.
your fan theory?
This is my fan theory that,
Yeah,
that,
okay.
that Mike Shiner is Worm from Rounders.
This is the natural progression of that character.
They're played the same way,
Mm.
just beautifully
Now-
Edward Norton.
Now I have to see Rounders.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, like you
we're gonna
said,
watch
if you put it on the wheel, this could be our next episode. It could be Rounders.
Could be Rounders.
Really
It's
get
meant
that
to be, it's meant
algorithm
to be.
going crazy
The
with
will will
that.
decide.
I just wanted to drop that nugget in there, and
Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, now I want to see Rounders right now. So yeah, that's when we get Reagan, like after this whole Birdman sequence of him telling, he's almost like letting it like he's embracing it almost. Like,
Mhm.
you know what? Maybe I should start doing this. And then that's when we see him start to float. We're like, what the fuck? Like we see flight happen.
Yeah.
And of course, of course, all this like sequence with the Birdman like action stuff, obviously that's not real. But then we see him float, and we see the camera kind of follow him, although like he's faster than the camera, and the camera transitions to Reagan being on a rooftop
Mm.
off a ledge, and I think that's when a lady shouts, "Hey, is this for real, or are you shooting a movie or a film?" And he goes, "A film."
I like that he kind of like, because he's like,
He almost thinks about
contemplating
it.
suicide.
Yeah,
right here.
yeah.
He's,
He's a
"A
film.
film. And he doesn't even like look down. It's just like, shit.
And that's when we see someone like talk behind him, and it's just like some dude approaching Reagan on the roof, and he tries to get him to step away from the ledge, and this is when Reagan's like, "Sorry, I can't talk. I'm late. Music." An orchestra starts playing, and I love that so much because he's still like in his own world there.
Yeah.
And then that's when he's like in his own world and the music's playing. That's when he's like kind of like distracted, and the stranger's like, you could see him walking up to him, and he like grabs him, gets him off the ledge, and he asks him like, "Hey man, where are you trying to go?" Or whatever. And he's like, "I know where to go." And then that's when he like. Again, his physicality acting is so great because his head turn even to like go jump off the ledge, he starts to run, and then I think the stranger's like, "No, wait," whatever, and he runs, jumps off the ledge, and you're like, "What the hell?" And then he starts soaring through the sky, man. That's when we see him flying throughout New York, and we even hear like the guy on the roof when he sees him flying. He's cheering, he's laughing, he's in awe, and like it's like, what the hell is happening right now, right?
He's very dreamlike.
Yes, and yeah, he's even like cheering him on, and so yeah, we see him soaring through the sky, and then when he lands in the front of the theater, but then that's quickly brought up to the audience's attention that a cab driver quickly follows him in the entrance, or trying to, and we hear him telling like, "Hey, you didn't pay for your fare, right?"
Mhm.
Like he didn't pay.
Well, so first of all, I want to point out a couple things here. There is a very funny production. I wouldn't say error. It's something
you
that's
had
almost
to do.
unavoidable. But when he is descending down and softly lands,
Yeah.
well, they shot this for real with Michael Keaton on cables, right? And he descends down, he touches the ground. Well, they had to have one of the extras quickly grab the cable off of his back to continue that rest of the shot into the interior.
Mm.
And you can see this guy. I'm going to put this in the edit so it's clear what you're looking at, because you can't miss it once you know it's there.
Yeah, see,
It's so
I've
funny. I
never
was
seen it
watching-
myself.
I never
like
caught
I've never
that before,
noticed it.
but
So
I read about it, and then when I watched it this time, I was looking for it,
Mm.
and it's so obvious that it's like, oh my god, I can't believe that's like right in front of your face. dude walk in the opposite direction of Riggin. He's walking towards him, hands in his pocket, and then he just reaches out behind his back and grabs the cable off of him and then keeps walking. But it's very funny. But then more specifically,
Pretty good, because I've never noticed it. I've
that's what
seen
I'm
it
saying.
3 times.
If you didn't know it was there, you would never notice it. But
Yeah.
until when it's pointed out to you, it is like hilariously like obvious. It's
But,
so
like,
funny.
At the same time, though, like, how are you supposed to do that without
No,
being
that's
seen?
what I'm saying. There's no avoiding
Yeah.
that, and I like that they did that
If you're not
for
trying to
real.
cut and
Yeah, with the one
I would
shot
say
aspect.
Most people probably don't know that. if
No,
they've seen the
definitely
film.
not. So for
Oh.
anybody watching this, look out for that
Yeah.
if you watch the film because it's really
that's
funny.
just a backseat filmmaking nugget for you right there. That's
we
what
give
you
you
get
the
when you
info
come
you
here.
can't get anywhere else.
Or
all
you're
right?
too lazy to look up yourself.
That's what we're here for. We do the hard work for you.
So then, as he walks in the theater, we see the camera still stay outside, pointing to the front of the doors of the theater, and we quickly see it transition. Well, we see like the edge of the cab, like drive off, like the corner of the cab drive off. So we get that reality check of his powers again.
Right.
We don't always get that, so that's something interesting. But so obviously he wasn't actually flying; he just took a cab ride, right? But we see the transition from day to night when the cameras are focused on the front of the theater, and we see the fans like the audience like walking out of the doors. It's the intermission of the play, and they're all pretty impressed. We hear them talking amongst each other and like, hey, it's pretty good, you know. And I think one of them actually you could hear say, Birdman can act.
Yeah.
Still referring to him as Birdman, not Reagan.
Yeah.
Which is all right. Well, but he likes it. They like it. And so we see the camera. It transitions to going up the building, up to Reagan's dressing room, and that's where Sylvia walks in. And because I think he's lying on the dresser, right, of his dressing room, and he's just on it, kind of just looking up. He's in an intermission. He's just waiting for his next scene. And yeah, Sylvia walks in. She says she's walked in to say hi and tell him that the play is going great. And Reagan tells Sylvia about this voice in his head. He's talking about Birdman, of course. And he tells her that, yeah, I have this voice in my head and it tells me the truth. He says that it's kind of comforting, kind of scary. But it's kind of weird that, you know, we hear him say that it's comforting because the whole movie, we don't get him like reacting to it as it being comforting.
Yeah, Birdman is incredibly aggressive.
We see
it.
him being annoyed by it, pissed off by it, like him getting out of the way. But obviously this is his voice, clearly, right? But like it's almost like we see visually that he wants to like not hear any of it, but at the same time, because we keep hearing it, that is something that he does want to hear.
Right.
Like to kind of almost quote unquote like keep him in check, but like it's himself keep like just telling him this nonsense like, yeah, I'm not worth it. I need to go back doing these films because that's the only thing I have going for me.
Right.
Well, anyways, keep on going. And then so after he says that, we also get the story that Reagan tells Sylvia about the time that he tried to drown himself at a Malibu beach. And as he's telling this story, like I think he says like what like these jellyfish like just came upon him, started stinging him and stuff, and so he was able to get out of that. But I think when he says he's telling that story, he's like, yeah, I told you it was like a sunburn, and you believed me. And she was like, she's like, honestly, I didn't really give a shit. So at that point in their relationship, she was already knowing that he wasn't really like, he wasn't all there.
Yeah, I mean, she was clearly emotionally checked out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she didn't give a fuck what the reasoning was or whatever. But I think this is the second suicide attempt that we get either told or visually seen.
Yeah.
By the first one being that first one where he jumps off the ledge and he starts flying.
Right.
So we don't know exactly what happened. Obviously, he took a cab. So he didn't actually do that, but it was that's the second representation of a suicide attempt of his that, you know, we get either heard or told about. And so he's expressing this little moment with her, and he reflects and expresses like his regret on the missed opportunities that he had with his family. And he's kind of just at this moment of time during the actual play itself, like reflecting on those moments and actually like, you know what, like I should have done better. Maybe that's what he's always thought, but he had something else to prove.
Yeah.
You know. Either way, I think it is a nice scene. Like this is like a moment of him and Sylvia's relationship of like what could have been almost, right?
It's
'Cause she's being super
maybe
sweet. They're
maybe that's
they're
why
both
I like those
calming.
scenes so
Yeah.
much between the two. Which again, we only get the two, right?
Isn't
or I
his
guess there's
room-
technically three, but
real quick, I think his dressing room was filled with roses.
it is. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
He fucking
Another
hates
visual
roses.
representation of
Yeah.
like this guy just like can't win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Like,
maybe,
it's-
maybe there's some
it's-
other meaning there where it's like maybe roses remind him of a time where he was praised so much that he used to get roses.
Maybe.
So now
yeah.
getting them in this regard too, with all this praise, you know, you get a bouquet of roses, and maybe he doesn't like.
Is
the
that
bouquet of
just off your
roses.
dome right there?
It is actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't take that.
Yeah,
into
And
I
it's
like
account.
that
also
a
like,
lot,
you know,
honestly.
getting the flowers before you're gone, right?
Maybe that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, sure.
no,
He's
yeah.
getting his flowers, right?
Yeah, so it's like
Even
don't know,
ones
I-
that he doesn't like, but
I
they're
just think
regardless.
with Riggin, he's his own worst critic, right? He's always gonna
yeah.
be the hardest on himself.
Isn't anybody, right?
But
And
at the same time, he has like this imposter syndrome of like, I'm not actually an artist, but I want to be. But then it's like, well, clearly you've brought a lot of joy to so many people for the things that you've done with your performances. Yeah, it might be for a superhero,
Yeah.
but superheroes can't be
It
art.
grows billions.
You don't want to get into this conversation with us three because
It
we're a
grows
bunch of fucking
billions.
nerds, but superheroes, you know, can inspire people.
yeah.
The stories, they're these, you know, I think, you know, in a certain way. So I think with Riggin, it's like he's not a real artist unless he's on Broadway and he's doing a real play and he's performing live, no cuts. There's no extra takes. It's just you and the audience and whatever. But I think that's just him getting caught up in whatever it means to be an actor.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
his, you know,
So then I think that's when we get on like the intercom of Riggin being called to the stage. And that's when Sylvia leaves. He starts doing his little tongue twisters to prepare for the final act. And as he's doing those, he's reaching up on like the shelf, kind of reaching behind like a box, you know, and we see him grab a gun. And it's presumably a prop gun, you would think, right? Until he starts till the camera starts to specifically point towards it, him unclipping it, looking at the clip, and or the magazine, right? And seeing like the bullet in there, loads it, even cocks the gun back. And it's obviously a completely different gun from the one
Lingers
we
on
saw
that
before,
shot
but
for a
it's also
second.
to reflect the conversation that he had with Mike about telling him that he needs a better gun.
right.
So that's also to reflect that. But as someone watching it for the first time, and even all these other times, you kind of like, because it lingers on him doing that, and because he's reaching behind something, like it's hidden, like you get this feeling like, oh, this is real.
Also, why would this prop be in his dressing room
And hidden.
and up there?
Right.
Yeah, it's very specifically
And
like,
him cocking
and
it back,
he-
like I don't know.
well,
it's
it's
just like it's a
intentionally
whole.
too. This is a semi-automatic pistol as opposed to the other one that he'd been using. I
Yeah.
believe is a revolver.
yeah,
up
it's just like a
until this point.
revolver,
Little,
like
you know,
BB or
yeah. So it's
pellet
very
gun,
clearly
something.
a different gun, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's implying that this is real.
Yeah, and so then that's when he's in full Birdman mode almost, because he like points to the door and he uses his telekinesis to open the door, and then that's when he heads out to the stage. And then as he's heading to the stage, that's when we get the drummer
Antonio
once more
Sanchez.
performing, but this time he doesn't acknowledge him.
Right.
He walks right past him, but he's jamming
Pure
out.
figment of his imagination.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the soundtrack starts playing again, and then he's approaching the door to the stage. He's knocking on it, he approaches it, and then the final scene starts to begin. And then so that's when they perform the final act. Then we see him commit to the gun shoot. Him on again. You don't know the aftermath yet because we see the crowd erupt into a standing ovation. They're roaring, and I don't know if you guys noticed this. I like the breakdowns that I watched, and then just me watching it myself. I was trying to look at it and try to see myself. There's a Martin Scorsese lookalike in the
I
crowd.
read something
Yeah.
about that. I didn't look for it because I
Yeah.
didn't know this until after the
Were
fact.
you able to
but
find him?
So I want to say I found who the lookalike was supposed to be, but to
Okay.
me it was like, at first I was like, is that supposed to be him then? Like it wasn't quite clear to me, but then that's when I was like, oh, okay, I guess maybe, like I don't know, maybe I just Maybe I got the wrong guy, but it did look like it could have been.
Yeah.
No,
No, I read about that though. I was
Yeah.
curious. I didn't end up rewatching it back to find that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was curious if it was actually there. Or
I
not.
guess so. But then we also see as they stand up in the crowd applauding the play, we see the Tabitha
Tabitha's the only
Dickinson.
one that's not standing.
Well, she does stand,
Well, she
but
can
she
get
gets
out
the
of
hell
there.
out of
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
But it's a great shot to like she sticks out. Like it's amazing how one person sitting when a sea of everybody standing
Yeah.
sticks out, and so it's awesome to see that shot of her. Like you're like, oh, Tabitha did come to the show. She's reviewing the opening night, and why isn't she? Everybody seems to love this, and
I think that's why she's
know, yeah.
almost like,
I think
damn, I was wrong.
I think-
moment
yeah, I
of
think she
like,
saw
now I gotta get
something-
out of here.
I think she just saw something that she has never seen before and she'll never see again.
yeah.
And now that's reflected obviously with, I don't know if you want to cover this
Well,
where we go from here.
Oh, yeah, I
For
will.
me, her getting up felt like she was, and it. What I'm about to say kind of gets debunked of what her review says, but it was like, to me, is she was pissed off that like this
Mm.
guy thought what I was telling him meant to go kill yourself or like do something this insane. You really don't get it then. Like you are so far removed from what art
So-
is.
That's interesting.
Hold that
I can
thought
s-
here because we'll
Mhm.
for it to make sense here. I'll
Mhm.
build up on that and let
Okay.
you let you
That's
cook
interesting. I
there
like that,
because I
though.
do like that too. And actually, I had also thought somewhat similar. So because at the aftermath of this, we get this is where we get the sequence of edits here of the meteor.
yeah.
We get like the nature shots. We get the montage of like the cosplayers of
Bumblebee
Spider-Man,
versus
Bumblebee, like these Transformers, the
Fucking
the
Optimus.
band
Yeah,
members
you're right.
performing and stuff on stage. We get like a lamp, like a street lamp pose,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all this weird stuff, right? It's just all kind of happening. It's almost again like a dreamlike kind of situation of just these just random moments of time and like kind of mesh together. That's after those edits happen, we get it transition to a hospital and it's the camera's pointing towards Sylvia looking out the window and stuff. And she like kind of turns over and looks at Riggin, although we don't see Riggin just yet, but we know that he's lying in the bed and she's kind of talking to him. And that's when Jake walks in and he comes to check on him, but he's also telling him like the good news about the reception of the play. I think he has also a newspaper and the paper headline reads, "The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance" by Tabitha Dickinson. And she is praising the play. And then it gets revealed that Riggin shot his nose off. And then he turns on the TV.
Mhm.
That's the reception of it. It's like, yeah, his play is only getting praised
Right.
now by everybody.
It's already going to get expanded out into
But
other.
To speak on
theaters.
this moment though, because her reaction to me also revered something like negative, like a negative connotation towards it, and not what like her review actually like had said about it. Because again, she just praised the hell out of it, but her reaction almost seemingly tells something different. So I actually had something similar to that, and I'll explain my reasoning, but I want you to kind of speak up on that, why you think that is.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I think that she that he thinks that was a hack move to do that, and like just real show grabby. I don't think that she really thinks that was like had real substance to it. I think that the way she gets up and turns around and marches away, like I wouldn't expect her to give a standing ovation, but I would expect her to linger on the moment. Like, you really have to go write about this right now? Maybe. I don't write like theater critics. Maybe you got to be right after you see the crazy stuff happen.
Got to dip out.
Yeah,
during the
you gotta go
standing
right
ovation.
to
Yeah,
your-
probably
but-
not.
To me, it just felt like she was like disgusted. She was like, I can't believe that he drove him. Like maybe she felt a part of driving him to do this because she's calling him out on this.
Right.
And
That's interesting.
See, now that's I took it in the way that she just saw something so real. What did she call it? Hyper, like, or no, I'm sorry. She used there was a phrase in her review.
Hyper realism.
Hyperrealism.
It wasn't even like, it was like, was it hyperrealism?
I think so.
Something real.
Yeah.
I know it was realism, but I can't remember what the preface of.
And it was like, I think in that moment, at least the way I interpreted it, I actually like your take better, but I'll give my initial take. I took it as her seeing a man shoot himself in the head on stage and being so horrified, obviously, by seeing a man commit suicide in front of a live audience and having to leave abruptly without anybody else really realizing what just took place, because they're, of course, thinking it's part of a performance and that he didn't actually shoot himself. So they're not even realizing at first what just happened. For her, I think she knew immediately, with the added context of her having that conversation with him and going, oh, fuck, he just killed himself. Holy shit. And she just storming off like, I can't be here. Like, that just, you know, like scared her. Like, holy shit.
Interesting.
And
I like both of your guys' takes
like
because
too.
I think it's
I actually
different.
like yours more, though, if I'm being honest. That makes more sense.
I like
from
both
an
of them.
artistic
It is different from
perspective.
mine, though.
Okay.
So
hear
my
it.
whole thing is, I think I don't think anybody actually knew right then and there that he actually legitimately shot himself. And I think her reaction to me, because I initially had that of like a negative connotation of her reaction at first, but I think because of how like adamant she was about not only not seeing this play and giving it a negative review, but she saw everybody else like have this standing ovation and love for it. And I think she almost actually liked the play herself. That's why she couldn't even give it its flowers. She was like, I'm so wrong in this. And like, oh my God, like I actually am disgusted by it actually being good almost. Like I got to get the fuck out of here to save face almost. Yeah. Because I think because she was wrong.
Almost
And I
to
think
hide
because
the emotion from whatever
she even
just,
said she wasn't going to see it.
Right.
She's clearly there. Everybody loves it. She did too. Well, obviously based off this review that I don't think actually happened, and this is why I'll explain why, but I'll get into that right after
I like
this.
that though, because how many times do you watch something, consume something that you tell yourself you're not gonna like, and you're like, you sit there, you're like, gosh, dang it, this
It's
is
actually
fantastic.
good. Damn it.
Oh, trust me,
You
I love
know?
my slop. So
I
do
just
that all the time.
I don't
Like,
think
this is
anybody
dog
actually
shit.
knew that he shot himself.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I
no
don't
one
think
else,
you couldn't have, because
if
they wouldn't be
anyone
clapping
would-
like
if
that,
anyone
right?
would know,
Like if
it
they
would be
actually just
her.
knew that he killed him or
That's what I'm saying.
attempted
The only
to.
person that could even possibly think that would be her.
But yeah, I don't think so.
No, and even that's a stretch. I'm just saying, if anybody,
I
could.
think the actors would.
Yeah. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
but, like,
I guess
in the
maybe
audience,
them too.
in the
Yeah,
audience.
but I mean,
audience, you
yeah, and then
couldn't
as far as
tell
the
on
because the
stage.
shot we just have is of them
I think it,
clapping stuff. They don't obviously know.
I think it's also important to note that in his monologue, he's clearly not even on the play script.
No, he's kind of improvising.
He's
at that
just
time.
speaking. He's just rigging in that
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, it's pure
I think he's
emotion.
like, you people, what is he say? Nobody cares. Or I can't remember
Yeah,
what he's
he
saying.
definitely goes
but-
off script. Yeah,
And
But
it's,
to continue
yeah.
this
Let's get to our
final scene,
final scene here.
so the camera it pans over to Riggin and his Birdman like bandages on his face, and that's when so we see that, but then we see Jake leave the room. He has this quick interaction with Sylvia. She smacks him on the face because he's like he's only interested in what this means for Riggin and like this, just like the praise, but like she's more concerned with his well-being and what he just tried to do, right? Yeah, he only shot off his nose, but obviously like knowing that he probably didn't just mean to shoot off his nose.
Right.
He probably meant to actually end it. But here's the thing. So like he goes out and he's like trying to calm the paparazzi down. He's getting pissed at him, yelling at him, and then we see Sam quickly slip by them all, go into the room and try to like visit Riggin. And so we see him. She brings flowers, and what were they?
I think they're peonies, right? Or
I don't
no.
think so. I think they're.
What are they? Oh no, they're
I don't have them written down here.
lilacs.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right?
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is.
And when she gives it to him, I love this part too because he starts to smell him and he just starts laughing. She's like, "Why are you laughing?" He's like, "Because I can't smell anything." And it's just like kind of funny because he just says something that it's a callback from the beginning scene, right? Where he just wants something that smells nice, that's not roses, and he shot it off his nose and now he can't smell anything. Well, anyways, it's like this little sweet, little funny moment of, the reality of this all. And so yeah, they have this nice moment together. She like lays on his chest and they're just kind of taking it all in, the aftermath of this all. And so she tells him that she's going to leave and go downstairs and get a vase for the flowers. Like, all right. So then after she leaves, he gets up, gets out of bed, and he's like almost like, I guess, trying to see like the damage on his face. He goes over in the bathroom. He like takes off his bandages, And then that's when we get Birdman appear. Not a word is said. He just flushed, like Birdman is on the toilet. He flushes it and he kind of like looks over, but that's it. No words are said between the two. And we see the his nose job, right?
Mhm.
And so when he comes out of the bathroom, he goes over to the window and he's just taking in the sky. He's just looking out the window, just taking it all in, the city, the sky, everything. And as he's looking out of the window, I want to mention, because I know when
Yes.
we were watching it, I was like, there's a moment and shot, and it's kind of quick, but I swear, man, there's a little resemblance between Michael Keaton and his new nose and Daniel Craig.
No,
Again,
dude,
it
you were
might be a
right
reach.
on the
It's
money.
uncanny.
It's so funny.
I told
because-
you to look
so
out for it when
these
you
two
watched
watched
it.
the movie together, and I watched it separately. And he told me before, and he's like, at the end, I just want you to look for a shot where he looks
Quick.
like Daniel Craig. And I was like, what does that even fucking mean? And he didn't give me any context. And then I watched it, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, this would probably be it. And at first, it's a straight on shot in the mirror.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the
So
side.
it's like, oh
the
yeah, it's Michael
side.
Keaton with a nose job, like it's slightly different. And then it goes to a profile shot, and I swear to God, looked exactly like
Dude,
Daniel
it looked
Craig.
like
I
Daniel
laughed
Craig.
so hard
Yeah.
watching this by myself because I was like,
Yeah,
he nailed it. That's
Yeah.
Daniel Craig.
looks like Daniel
it's
Craig.
very bizarre to look at.
and we'll put it in the edits to see what you guys
Oh, you
think.
guys will see. If you guys
didn't
are
catch it,
watching
didn't
to
see
this
it, whatever,
point,
know what
you'll
the hell
see.
I'm talking about, you
Yeah.
can disagree. Let us know in the comments if you agree with me or not. Either way, so quickly brushing over that, we get him looking out the window, and he opens up the window, and we see him just get on the ledge of it and just jump out. And then we don't see anything after that other than when Sam walks in right after that, and she's like, Dad, and she's looking for him. Looks in the bathroom, not there. Obviously, she goes over because she sees the window open. She looks out, immediately looks down, right? It's obviously, why would her father be flying? So she looks down, doesn't see anything. She quickly, or not quickly, but like kind of like gradually pan up her eyes. She starts to smile, implying that she's noticing Reagan flying.
Mm.
Now, to me, I don't think any of this actually happened. I think this Reagan's fantasy playing out, this whole aftermath of the play. To me, I want to believe that he actually killed himself on that stage. And this is just, again, like I just said, his fantasy playing out. I don't think there's any aftermath of this. I think he actually killed himself on the stage.
I think it's so funny. During this conversation, I would not only agree with you, I am convinced that is wholly intentional. And it's so funny that I knew some of this was obviously like fantasy and kind of like not actually happening, especially him flying and
Yeah.
stuff. He doesn't actually possess those powers. But you're right. I don't think this entire final scene is even actually taking place.
Mhm.
I think it's
It's too good to be
so
true.
intentionally set up. In fact, I think specifically the nod to him not being able to smell the flowers, it's kind of that like, people don't.
He wasn't there to receive him, or to actually,
what is that saying? It's like people don't get their flowers, and
well, they're still here.
like they can
it's-
never smell the flowers. They're
Yeah.
still here, or whatever. Can't smell them.
Yeah, that's a
He
good point.
physically
Yeah.
cannot smell them because he is literally not alive. This is not happening. This is all a fantasy. This is just like, and because he's getting rave reviews and he's getting
Mhm.
all the glory he could have ever wanted from this performance. It was so real and so authentic, and it just did not happen that way. This guy killed himself on stage, and it was horrific.
That's what I think of it too, because it's like almost, again, like I
Everything's
just said,
leading up
too
to
good
this
to be
point
true.
too. It's like Birdman is suicidal. His suicidal thoughts. That
we get 3 of those instances, and they're almost like within like 30 minutes of one another.
right. I mean, like not only the suicide attempts that he's had off screen, like in the past that he refers to, but
Yeah.
the ledge, and then just the fact that I interpret Birdman as his suicidal thoughts. So it is this representation of him grappling with these thoughts of like just ending things, just accepting things and killing yourself, I guess. Just very bleak.
Yes.
And again, the movie doesn't play it that way, but I think if you take it that way, I think it almost makes it kind of more beautiful.
I think that's the whole ending, was like, how do you interpret this? That's
Right.
how I did. It's cool that you think you agree, although I want to hear your take if
Yeah,
you
I'm
have any
curious if
thoughts
yours
on
too,
it
Seth. I
I just
yourself.
wanted to say that Jake also tells him that this play will run forever.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like he's expected to shoot off his nose every time.
Exactly. Like that's not feasible.
Yeah.
You can't recreate this. If that's the case, this authenticity
Yeah.
cannot be replicated. Yet they have all these shows lined up in London and this and that.
Mm.
So he's achieved everything he ever wanted, which was the praise. And then even his daughter comforting him and laying on his chest, and his ex-wife caring so much about his well-being. And it's like none of this ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
That is him maybe in the afterlife in some way, or maybe even just in the, like how they say when you die, your neurons are still firing. Who knows? Maybe that's just like literally in his brain.
I want to, like, to me, I thought it was maybe like his own fantasy of that whole final scene playing out of what he hoped would happen.
Right.
If, obviously he didn't kill himself, but,
right.
That was like the whole thing, I guess, to me. But wrapping up this episode, do you guys have anything more on the movie itself here?
Nope.
I think we get into scores right away.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I picked this movie because it's so different. I love the way it's shot. Obviously, there's not too many movies that are a one shot. I mean, I know this one's technically not, but like for the most part, majority of it is the planning of it is so incredible. And I guess I think I am a little biased towards the making of this movie because it's so like it's very impressive. Like I know just watching the interviews of the cast, the director, everybody that was involved, like saying just like the difficulties in each day and each shot like that they're trying to shoot was just difficult, man. Like you had to plan this out, very calculated. And I think that itself is very, very impressive to me. But not only that, the actual movie and story being told, the acting, everything involved, fantastic. I loved it. It's so different. I remember the first watch, I think, was maybe a few years after it had been released, and I was kind of confused by it because I didn't know what to expect, and I remember just being like, what the hell did I just watch? But I think after me knowing a little more about movies now and then just watching a couple more times, like it really resonates with me of what is trying to be told from it and everything behind it. I love it. But to be honest, I'm gonna give it a 9.1.
Okay.
9.1, fantastic movie. I promise you, we will get into movies that I am not gonna be any 8+ here or anything.
We're gonna be talking about some bullshit.
I wanna get into some movies here later on of where we're actually critiquing. But I mean, the movies we're doing so far are fantastic. So if you disagree or agree, let us know in the comments below, please. Either way, 9.1 is my score. I'm going to toss it over to you, Seth. I want to hear what you got on it because I want to know after our watch, because he had never seen it before.
Yeah. First
after
watch.
I know he was just like, he also, to me, the look on your face is almost like, what the hell did I just watch? Which is very, if you haven't watched it before, I feel like that's going to be a initial reaction for most people, but I took it as like, you didn't really like it, but I'm kind of curious. I want to hear.
Thank you for bringing this movie to us. I think it was a movie that I always know I needed to watch. Just never got around to it, but I finally did. And unfortunately, I'm going to sound a little bit like Tabitha in my rating portion. And you saying everything about how Alejandro's how this is kind of his spirit movie, therapy film.
Love that.
Definitely makes me. I'm sorry, Alejandro, that I'm feeling a certain type of way about your movie, but I don't love the ending. I don't love the use of ambiguity. I think when it's used in this way, I think it becomes a lazy tool to kind of say, here, you figure out how this ends.
Oh, wow.
I know. I hate that this
really
is
sound like Tabitha now.
I know.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I really hate that this
you
is how
just labeled everything.
I'm a labeler. I'm lazy.
You're a lazy fucker.
I know. Movie making is so amazing, but you're throwing it to me to absorb and to take in, and this is
it
what
because
this
you don't know what the hell to make of it.
Well, it's just
Is
like
that part of it?
Yeah, I guess it's just like the whole movie. I just became exhausted with the movie. I became just like, what's the point? What am I watching? Why? Like, I feel like I'm being told throughout this whole movie because it's shot very well. The whole thing is shot fantastic. And I feel like I'm being told by the movie that this is a great movie. You should be loving this movie. But I just didn't feel that way.
Mhm.
I didn't feel like it was an awesome, I didn't feel like the substance of the movie was awesome. I didn't feel like there was any, I didn't feel involved with any of the characters really. I just felt like I just was emotionally drained. How many times do I need to watch this guy try and kill himself or talk about killing himself? And
Well, he only talks about it once.
I know, but either way, those are my bugaboos with the movie. I do think that Michael Keaton got robbed of Best Actor. I thought.
Whoa. Doesn't that not just contradict what you just said, though?
No, I think he was
There
great
could be
in the
story
movie.
elements that don't work.
I think
but
he was great in the
perhaps
movie.
the performance is good.
He's great in the movie.
Interesting.
I
Who
just,
won that year?
the
Sorry.
dude for the Theory of Everything, the Stephen Hawking movie.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I didn't see it, so
I thought the performance was great. I just thought overall the movie is like, what am I watching? And that's not to say I don't think it's a bad movie.
No, I'm not taking that as it is.
I just don't.
If you saw a great performance but didn't like the movie,
on the flip side,
weird.
I thought Whiplash got robbed of the Best Picture winner that year. I don't think this is a Best Picture winning movie, personally. You know, when every year when the Oscars call me up, the Academy calls me up and say, "Hey, you're gonna keep voting on the Best Picture, right?" And I say, "Yes." I didn't vote that year for this one.
Damn.
I know.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did not decide to even participate. Okay.
Yeah, Whiplash got my vote that year as a 14-year-old, but no, I think there was good cinematic accomplishments in this movie, such as the one shot, such as how smooth everything is as it's shot. I think just the word I come away with is exhausted. And I don't like being exhausted after I watch a movie.
That's fair.
But after all that, you're probably going to think my score is going to be really low. It's still a 7.83. It's
Okay,
not.
hey,
it's not
pretty
terrible.
good.
That's not
It's
bad at all.
Terrible.
Honestly,
the
terrible
small-
to me is like anything under 5.
I know the
Yeah.
small critiques to me are speaking loudly right now, but I overall
You said
enjoyed-
7.83.
Yeah,
That's still pretty damn good.
I know, but like for a Best
As much
Picture,
as you just went in on it, I was
But those are
No, I
very
see what you're
small
saying.
things. Like they're speaking. There's a bunch of the movie that I like. It's just those like if I had to pick apart a little bit of it that I didn't like, just to have a different perspective.
Sounds
Well-
to me like you hated it.
I hate it.
I hate it. 7.83.
Derrick, what you got?
Good Lord. I could not. And this is, I guess, the fascinating thing about film and art. It's completely interpretive. It's completely subjective. And I genuinely like this. I am not even like fucking trolling when I say this, but I love that people can walk away from something and get something completely different out of an experience, even though it's the exact same thing. Because it means different things to different people. And you know, I hear all of your critiques. In fact, I more than understand them, because I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody that's never seen this film and is watching our review and maybe going, "Oh, I got to check out this movie." It's not the most accessible film of all time. That's just a fact. It's incredibly experimental. It's incredibly it's energetic. The whole thing is kinetic. It's got a lot of moving parts. It's based a lot in like reality and then not reality. It's got a lot going on for what it's trying to say. And for a lot of people, that's going to turn them off flat out. And I understand that. So I hear what you're saying. And I honestly respect your critique, because I don't think you're being harsh on it. I think if anything, you should be harsh on a Best Picture winner for whatever you feel deserves to be a Best Picture. Now, what I'm going to disagree with you on is quite a few things, because I think, as far as, first of all, best picture, I know you had mentioned Whiplash, and we covered Whiplash 2 episodes ago.
Go watch it.
Episode 4, go watch our Whiplash
watch
video.
it.
It's kick-ass. Terrific fucking movie. If you guys recall, I gave Whiplash a 10 out of 10. It was my choice that week, and I fucking love that movie. Do I think it deserved Best Picture that year? No, dude. This movie, cinematically,
Mhm.
Whiplash is not as good as this movie in terms
Mm-hmm.
of like pure cinematics. If we're talking about Best Picture, you know what I mean? And I know that gets confused a lot with Best Cinematography, which this movie also won, which is very deserving. This movie just gets it, man. This is filmmaking at its highest degree, technically at least. Story wise, yeah, I'm not going to say it's perfect, but I am going to say that for what it's going for and for what the performances portray, I think it's so good. I absolutely adore Emma Stone's performance. Michael Keaton is so natural in the role, and Edward Norton is literally playing himself, so it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Therefore, he fits. The cinematography, like I already said, is
Zach
perfect.
Galifianakis. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I cannot. Yeah, not going to disregard my boy Zach Galifianakis, a true professional, as you pointed out. No mistakes on his end, or at least the fewest. He's actually really great, and I love what they give him to do in this movie. But again, performances all around are really strong. The score is great. The cinematography is perfect. I think the pacing is really good, and I think the meta commentary, above all else, is. I don't think I've ever seen a film do it better. If I'm being frank, in this particular realm, and I know that's like really fucking specific, but I think this movie's awesome. I love it. I think, honestly, I don't think anything doesn't work in this movie, if I'm being frank.
Let's hear it.
I'm gonna give it a 9.3. And I know I'm just saying like, oh, nothing, it doesn't work. It's not like my exact type of movie that I would normally like, but I do like what it's trying to express from a filmmaking perspective. Like you had mentioned, the director was in a depressive state. This movie reflects that with the very notion of suicide. I think that's incredibly powerful. And I don't think you can do that in a way that would normally come off as just an incredible, like, bummer. That's not this movie. I think it handles it in a very nuanced way that I can only appreciate. I think this, I don't know. I just, man, I really fuck with this movie, but I would never go out of my way to recommend this to anybody. You know what I mean?
No.
Not to anybody. I mean to like literally, I should say everybody is what I'm saying. Because it's not for everybody.
No. But I guess given the context of who you're talking to, you might.
Oh, well, obviously, first of all, if you're watching this review, yeah, you guys would probably fuck with this. I mean, if you're into movies, if you have any passing interest in filmmaking or what it means to
whether you
make
like it or not, I think it is a movie to be watched because it is so different from
and it's a Best Picture
lot of
winner, so that
movies.
alone I think has some kind of credit to it as well. But
I
do
just
think
watch it.
Yeah, I mean, make your own interpretation.
Before.
Again, this guy probably wouldn't have given it, his vote, but that doesn't mean that it's not worthy of said votes or
that it is.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and I am disappointed that that's how I feel about it.
No,
I'm not. Again, I like that.
I like that.
But like going into watching the Best Picture, I want to go into it being like, I'm gonna love.
You
this
should
movie
give it.
so
You
much.
should be a little harsh on.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And just, but go back into what you were going.
I mean, that's really the last that I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I think that this movie, I don't know, man. It just does a lot that I had never seen before in a movie, and frankly, I don't know how much of it I'll ever see again. In terms of just pure filmmaking. I mean, so much movie magic in this movie that I think could be taken for granted, and I hope we don't. I don't know. Yeah. I guess that's all I have to say about it.
I do want to say.
Did I give him my score? I gave him my score.
9.3.
Yeah.
What you're saying is something that is what I loved about this movie is like it is very cinematic, and it all of the tools that it uses to drive the story forward. Not that like I said, I don't love it all, but the tools that is like the framework of the movie, I think, is awesome to me.
Right.
But
I guess the added context of me knowing the background of how and why this movie got made with Alejandro makes so much more sense to the context of the story, like of him having this inner voice of his during the time of a very depressive state, and him just wanting to make a comedic tell of this inner voice that we all have, and this like inner critique, I think he displayed it in such a way that like was meant for ambiguity of what do you get from this inner
Right.
voice of yours? What do what do you take from it? Because not everybody's is the same, right? And I love that you do kind of have to go out of your own way and think about it yourself. I think this is where one of those instances of you kind of, what does the ending mean to you?
Right.
This is where I think does work well. And I do get why you might think it is lazy, because I think in a
100%.
lot of instances, like of someone not knowing how to end a story, thinking it is lazy. Sure.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And if you do with this one, I don't not agree with you with that. Like, I understand it.
Yeah,
Myself, I think it works well with a story like this from beginning to end, because the beginning of him floating, it's never reality checked of what that meant. Like, of his powers, it works really well.
I think it's even bookended that way.
Yeah,
where
the beginning and end starts with,
okay, is he literally floating there? Okay, is he
and then
literally
the end,
in the hospital room flying out
I think
the
that
window?
works well.
So I think it's,
but I understand.
Yeah.
Any differences.
I mean, that's why this podcast got its name. Because
Exactly.
I will tell you that your ending sucks, and I don't have a smarter
What
way
did you
of
guys
doing
think
it.
of the ending?
Hey, you should have made it better, but also
Yeah,
I don't know how you
nothing for
achieve
you.
that.
I got nothing for you, but
Just
don't do
make
it
it
that
fucking
way.
better.
Don't do it that way.
What did you guys think of the ending? Let us
Yeah.
know. Did
Yeah,
you
let us
like
know.
it?
You
Did you
guys-
not understand it? Did you not like it? Let us know, please, in the comments.
Yes.
Let us know. I want to know. We all want to
Birdman.
know. Did you guys have anything else on the movie?
No, I
No,
don't.
You guys
I think
are good?
That's about it.
I
Yeah.
think that concludes episode 6. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys next time. And of course, Dean, please let the people know.
Hey, fans and subscribers of Backseat Filmmaking. Thank you, viewers, for watching. You need to like, subscribe, comment, and generally don't break bad on the comments, all right? Because I'm going to, kick your butt, all right? You don't want the DE after your ass. So do all that and support Backseat Filmmaking.